All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the chat if the mic is working. This is the very first stream for Survival Summit on YouTube, Facebook, and X at the same time. We have been streaming every day on TikTok, but TikTok is too restrictive, and TikTok may also be disappearing in 9 or 10 days. So we decided to come here on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And hopefully I should see all of the comments in one multi-stream chat because I'm using Streamlabs OBS with a Nikon Z8 camera. And I got a new gaming laptop specifically for this stream. So hopefully some of you guys will be coming over from TikTok. If you did come over from TikTok, which is a much bigger platform for us, put your name in the chat and let me know that you're here. We have a couple subs that, a handful of subs that were over on TikTok as well. TJ, forget it. My waste of time. Maybe it helps if you spell waste correctly. It's W-A-S-T-E. So, forget it. My waste of time. I don't even know what that means. Good thing I have a moderator. Moderator, get rid of that guy. No negativity in this stream. Sorry. All right, let's see. So tonight we're going to go over a bunch of different things. We're going to wait a little bit to see. I told everyone I'd be on at 7, so we're going to wait until a couple minutes after 7, make sure we get everybody that came over from the platform we normally stream on. And tonight we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. We are going to talk about electronics, Faraday bags, EMP bags, USBs with thousands of survival manuals and how to view those on your phone or on an iPad. And we're going to go over all kinds of different equipment. Most of the stuff we do not sell, so I'm not trying to sell you stuff in this live stream, because actually all the stuff I'm going to show you tonight, I think we only sell like maybe one of the things that's electronic anyway. So it is not a sales stream. I can tell you where to get it, but I can't sell it to you. We do have products on our own website. We sell a ton of things, but not the stuff I'm going to show you guys tonight, unless we get into like some of the, you know, my summer bug out bag and things like that. I have a couple links in my bio on all social media, including YouTube and Facebook and X and Instagram, where you can get a couple of the products, but not many. Lee Alexander, how's it going, Lee? We're still going to wait a few minutes because I told everyone I'd be on at 7, so I don't want to start going too early, knowing that I have people coming here from TikTok. Hopefully you guys can hear everything decent. I have a different mic I'm using now for this stream. And for the first time, I don't have to do that little narrow TikTok screen. I can do my regular camera in the regular configuration, and you guys can see pretty much the whole table. Marjorie Mahuda, welcome, welcome. We got family in the house. All right, keep in mind, we are going to start in a few minutes, so we can just kind of hang out. If you are new to the chat, let me know where you're from in the chat. Streamlabs OBS is pretty good because I can set up the multi-stream chat. I can see Lee Alexander is on YouTube. Marjorie Mahuda is on Facebook. And basically everyone talks in the chat. I can see exactly which platform you're coming from. I could set up Instagram as well, but you have to go live on Instagram physically and then put in the stream code. It's a couple more steps. And Instagram for me is a much smaller channel. We have less than 10,000 people on there. So for now, we're just going to keep it on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And we've never gone live on any of these platforms before. And for those of you who just came in, the reason why we're not going live on TikTok every night from now on is because TikTok is far too restrictive, and they might be banned soon. But they basically gave me violations last night in the stream because I told people to go to the link in my TikTok bio if they wanted to sign up for the email list and they wanted a free bug out bag checklist and a free PDF checklist on pace planning. So they shut it down. Well, they didn't shut it down. I'm sorry. They gave me 2 violations, and their reason is you're not allowed on a TikTok stream to send anybody anywhere other than the TikTok shop, which is probably why you see basically, you know, sales on there constant whenever you see a live. Everyone's just selling something on the TikTok shop. We're friends with a company, Practical Survival, on the TikTok shop, and we occasionally push some of their products, but we're not going to dedicate streams to specific stuff like that. We're just not going to do it. And I just made a deal with Jace Medical, who does emergency antibiotics and emergency off-grid medical supplies that you can do. And they're not, you can't do that on the TikTok shop. They go through legitimate doctors in the US and Canada. And I was going to have a full stream with them so they can answer questions. But I'd get a violation for that too, apparently, because I'd be sending people somewhere else to a different link, even if it's a link in my own TikTok Bible, in my own TikTok bio. So goodbye, TikTok. I'll go on and talk to people every once in a while briefly and let them know to come here, which I'll probably get violations for, but I don't care that much. All right, we're getting there. A couple more minutes. We're going to wait just to make sure that everyone that is on TikTok that does want to come here and watch will come here and check it out. Like I said, first time I've ever streamed on a different platform, so I don't know how this is going to go. But we have a pretty good setup. For those of you who missed it, we are using a Nikon Z8, just filming in 1080. We're not filming in 4K or anything. I don't even know, I could probably film in 4K on Streamlabs OBS. So it's a Nikon Z, and the lens I have on, I believe, is a 24 to 70 2.8. The 24 by 74 is not quite as good. This one's a little bit better for lower light conditions. This mic is a MV, I think a Shure MV7, I believe. I don't know why I'm tapping it. You guys sure you can hear that. But I like this better because you can see most of the table. And if I had more gear and a bigger spread, I could put the camera further back and you'd be able to see widescreen. I am going to pick up one of the new Nikon Z 20 millimeter, believe it's a 1.8. So that would be even better. It would be much wider and it would be even better for more low light stuff. Yeah, F them. For sure, Lee. F them. Just TikTok is too restrictive. I mean, how are they going to tell you that you can't send people to other places? You know, if I found, like when I did the stream the other day where I showed you all my favorite survival books, I was telling you where to get them, and it wasn't on TikTok shop because they don't sell them, and they didn't give me any violations for that. So I don't know. Maybe we had more people on last night, and maybe somebody reported it, or maybe TikTok just decided they were going to monitor it a little closer just to kind of see. I don't know what happened. So I apologize in advance if you have been watching the TikTok live streams for the last 2 weeks. We are going to go over some stuff and some equipment and some gear that we went over there. But this is a brand new stream for us on the 3 different platforms. So we're going to go over most of the stuff again. Even when I get back to Vermont tomorrow night, maybe I'll bring the books. We'll go over some of the books again and kind of show you what my favorite books in survival and preparedness and foraging and all that stuff. And we can go through that. And I will also have my entire bug out bag set up with all my winter supplemental gear. So at some point, I'll probably break all that stuff out and we'll do a live stream where we talk about that. I hope I have room because it's a lot of stuff. But I did it here, so I should be okay. And you'll be able to see it better based on the new camera. All right, we're a little light on viewers. Thomas, how many do we have on YouTube right now? Whoa. So we're at 12 total. This is a lot less than TikTok is, but we're going to make do. And if you build it, they will come. That's supposedly how it works, apparently. But whatever. Me and the other 12 people on here will just go through this stuff anyway. And hopefully some people will be lingering around. X is a pretty small channel for us, so I don't expect very many people, if any, from X. But Facebook, I think we have about 136,000, and YouTube about 104,000. So I'm hoping that we get some people from those 2 platforms. And maybe tomorrow I'll try to also live stream on Instagram at the same time. All right, so if you guys can see, I have this is kind of I call it my electronic supplemental kit. All of the gear that I keep in the supplemental kit, I also keep in Faraday bags. This is a Faraday bag. This is a Faraday NX3. We do sell the 5-pack on our website, thesurvivalsummit.com, but if you're only looking for 1 or 2 or a specific size, we don't have those in stock right now. So what you should do is just go to Faraday Defense directly and you can buy from them directly. But if you're looking for the 5-pack, we do sell the 5-pack and we do offer free shipping. So you might get a better deal from us, but we're not on here just to sell you stuff. So if you want to go to Faraday Defense and get a very specific setup, or you want to get the cheaper EMP bags, you can do that as well. We have none of these in stock, but Faraday Defense is probably the best place to get them. So if you're looking for them, you can get these EMP bags. So what's the difference? What is the difference between an EMP bag and a Faraday bag? Well, these bags are rated in dB, decibels of attenuation, basically how much signal they're letting in and out. That's probably a horrible way to put it, but I am not an expert. So the EMP bag would be good for an EMP to protect your gear. Now, a lot of people will say, I'm not going to say it's a stupid thing to say, but they do look similar to Mylar bags, and they do look similar to the anti-static bags that you get if you buy new electronics. They are not, I repeat, they are not the same. No anti-static bag that I've ever seen and no Mylar bag that I've ever seen has 40 decibels of attenuation and can block something like an EMP. Now, when we talk about EMPs, there are two different types of events that could happen that could potentially take down the grid. One is a high-altitude EMP, which is a nuclear explosion that happens miles up in the atmosphere and creates a massive EMP. If they do it in the middle of the country, most of the power grid would start cascading and fail, and it could take down the entire grid. Now, a high-altitude EMP can affect almost all electronics. They had a study in 2002 where they studied vehicles that were 2002 and older, and unfortunately, a lot of prepper sites referenced that EMP Commission study, and it was a horrible study. Number one, they only went through vehicles 2002 and older. Number two, they didn't use that many vehicles. Number three, they didn't even have their testing set up on full power because it was too much money and they didn't want to put that much money into it. Even the people on the EMP Commission admitted it was a very flawed study. But you're going to see online a massive amount of people that have blogs that are out that say, don't worry, your car will restart if there's a massive high-altitude EMP. You'll be fine. But some of these guys are the same guys that are like, your car will still start after a solar flare. Well, yeah, because your car's not going to ever shut down from a solar flare. That's not how it works. The difference between a high-altitude EMP and a solar flare, there are three main pulses in a high-altitude EMP. One of them is very long, one of them is a little shorter, and one of them is very fast and very destructive. And that's the pulse that the solar flares don't have. Solar flares are going to affect long transmission lines like the grid and anything plugged into the grid. So if a massive solar flare like the one in 1859, the Carrington event, that if we would have had the electronics that we do today, it probably would have taken down the whole grid. Even in 2012, there was a near miss for a massive solar flare. A coronal mass injection came off the sun, and it just barely missed the planet. They say it was strong enough where it could have also taken down the grid. So you can look that up. That is an event that happened in, I think it was 2012. And you can look up the Carrington event from 1859, I believe that's the year, where they only just started having telegraph machines. It was so bad that the telegraph machines were actually catching on fire. So imagine if that solar flare hit now when everything we do and everything we have is based on electricity. That would have been a game changer. Basically knock us back to the Stone Age. Tom Jarlock, EMP Shield 354 car. EMP Shield has a lot of data and a lot of testing. I personally haven't used them. Faraday Defense has a unit very similar to EMP Shield, but they also have clamp-on ferrites and traps that plug into your cigarette lighter and your outlets. Because a lot of people think, hey, EMP Shield won't work. You know, how's it going to stop it from getting to your computer? But the way those high-altitude EMPs work is they couple the energy into the wiring, and then they go through the wiring into the circuit boards, into the computers, into all the electronics that are in your vehicle. And the chips nowadays are not hardened whatsoever, especially in newer vehicles. There's so much electronics. Something else they'll do, so a high-altitude EMP, it won't destroy your battery. Your battery is a little bit too old school. It doesn't have the circuits, most batteries, maybe except in a smart car, it's a different story, or an electric vehicle. But the batteries will be okay. But that may also get energy to surge from your battery and also couple into the wiring and get to your equipment. So Faraday Defense's philosophy from Dr. Arthur Bradley, who's a NASA scientist, and he's also a PhD in electrical engineering. His theory is that you should have a device similar to the EMP Shield that will shunt the energy from going into places it shouldn't. But if you also have ferrites clamped in the right spot, as well as the traps, you know, cigarette lighter and outlets in your vehicle if you have them, then you're going to be better off, because that's also going to shunt and lessen the energy that's going into Because you can buy ferrites for your computer. So if there's ever a surge in your house, but they're not all the same. The ones in the vehicle are made a little bit differently. I'm not an expert on exactly how they work, but I have the basic idea. If you're looking to really know how they work, check out EMP Doctor. That's Dr. Arthur Bradley on YouTube. He has a channel basically dedicated to this stuff. And I think he still works with Faraday Defense. I think he's the one who invented or came up with the equipment for vehicles. So, Tom, I have heard EMP Shield is good, and they do have a lot of testing. I don't know how extensive the testing was. I do know it's very, 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 very expensive. It could cost you anywhere from $250,000 to over $1 million, depending on how far you go with the testing, how many vehicles you do, how many different types of vehicles, because vehicles are so diverse these days. It can be very difficult to do that testing comprehensively. That can cost a massive amount of money. But I'll tell you, having an EMP shield or having one of the units from Faraday Defense is going to be better than having nothing. Now, if you have an older carbureted vehicle that's 70s or 80s, it's probably not going to be shut down at all. And again, don't forget, a solar flare will not take down vehicles, but it will take down the grid. And that still could create a ton of gridlock and a lot of issues, a ton of issues. Before we really get more into the gear, just because I'm sure I have some new viewers that haven't been on TikTok in the last couple weeks, one of the biggest things I talk about, and you'll see it all the time, is PACE planning. PACE is an acronym: P for primary, A for alternate, C for contingency, and E for emergency. That doesn't just go for bugging out. So I made a video a year or so ago, and it's pinned on our YouTube channel. And the video is basically, what does it mean to bug out? Because there's a huge misconception in the industry, and a lot of videos. And sometimes the videos make it seem like people are bugging out just into the woods because maybe they're shorter. We have a really good video that was from a film, Survival Bug Out, that we made. It's kind of a short film, not really part of the actual instructional part of the film. But that, I think, has like 3 million views on YouTube. And I think it has collectively close to 10 million on TikTok with a couple different reposts. But in the end of that video, they meet at their alternate location with their group, where everyone has a lot of stuff and they have a good security team. But if you see some of the shorter videos, hey, Will Ames, how you doing? If you watch some of the shorter videos that don't show the whole thing, you might think bugging out is just going to live in the woods. Even the experts who have lived in the woods, who have survived with nothing, like my friend EJ Snyder from Naked and Afraid, I run his website as well, talk to him all the time. I'm probably going to have him on this new stream at some point soon. He can survive with literally nothing but a knife and a pot. And if he doesn't have a pot, he can make one out of bark like the Native Americans. Because you can boil water in birch bark without burning the birch bark. You can do the same thing in a paper cup. We've put videos, a lot of people have put videos like that. Hey, Ground Fog, how you doing? So basically my point is, you're going to hear me talk about PACE planning. But to me, PACE planning isn't just for bug out. So let's say my primary plan, which really should be everyone's primary plan, unless you live in a big city and there's a huge event, you're not going to want to be in the cities. Your primary plan should be your home. You should have supplies at your home. But what if, look at California, what if your home burns down? What if you're got flooded out in North Carolina? What if you were in Hurricane Katrina? There's so many different scenarios that can happen that make your primary location no longer safe. So you may need to leave that primary. Murphy's Law, what can go wrong will go wrong. So if you have to leave your primary location, where's your alternate location? Maybe you don't have a cabin in the woods. Maybe you don't have land you can go, off into. That's okay. You might have family in a more rural area or a safer area or, in a different state, a different town, somewhere where it's safer. That could be your alternate location. Now, if you have an alternate location, you're on a good start. But you should also have gear there. And wherever you pick for an alternate location, please make sure they're also preparing. They have their own gear, so they're not just going to rely on the stuff that you might stock there. If you need a contingency, let's say something happens and you can't stay at the alternate for whatever reason. Maybe there's a riot in that area. Maybe people fled from the city and they overran the town that you thought was safer. Where's your contingency? That could also be a family member's house in a different area, or a friend's house, or maybe you find a commercial campground. Don't ever go to private land, because that's a really good way to get yourself shot. People are not going to want you on their property, so don't do it. But find some maps, find some commercial campground or commercial cabins, because chances are you'll have a better opportunity to be able to stay there. Unfortunately, you're going to have a hard time putting gear there to have a little bit of stock there in case you do have to go there. But you also should have caches where you're going to bury them in the ground. You can't bury them in the ground in the winter if you're in the Northeast or areas where it's going to freeze in the winter, so you have to make other types of arrangements. Try to find some type of abandoned building or somewhere near the alternate or near the contingency location. And you're going to want to put caches. Maybe you have extra water filters, extra food, extra ammo, whatever you have. You do not want to have all your gear in one place. Now, at the same time, maybe you have family that you can't move. Maybe you have a neighborhood that is really close-knit, and maybe you can have a community where you can actually provide 360-degree, 24/7 security to the best of your ability. Maybe you don't need to leave. Again, if you're in a big city, it's probably never going to work. But if you're in an area that's a little safer and you have a good enough area, if you have a good enough community and a good enough group, then you may never have to go anywhere. And if you do have to go somewhere, hopefully everyone is prepared and your alternate and contingency locations are going to be good. Now, when you get to your emergency plan, which is your last drop dead, don't want to ever have to do it, that's where you're going to take your bug out bag and go in the woods. But that would mean literally everything failed. Your primary failed. Your alternate failed. Your contingency failed. You are completely out of options. That's when you may have to do it. That doesn't mean that at some point you can't try to go back to your primary or back to your alternate or back to your contingency. Because wherever you go, you're still bugging in once you get there. So the whole concept of bug out and the whole concept of being a lone wolf and bugging out into the woods is crazy. Most people, probably 99.9% of people, can't do that. They either don't have the equipment, they don't have the ability, they don't have the skills, they don't have the training, they don't have the security. Because even if you do that, and what if a bunch of other people do it and you're by yourself, or it's you and one or two other people? It's just not feasible. And I don't think it's going to work out the way that people think it will. There's a lot of people that talk a lot of shit online about being the lone wolf and going to rob everyone to take their supplies. But most of the people who talk about that stuff aren't going to be the ones that actually do it. Usually, that's bravado. Most of the time. I'm not saying that people who say that online aren't actually going to do it, because they might. Yeah, ground fog. It's a good reminder. Bugging out would suck. And yes, it would absolutely suck. I mean, I've talked to EJ about it. I've talked to Gray Bearded Green Beret, who we've made films with before. Nobody would actually want to get down to the emergency part of their plan, because that's the worst case scenario. Most of your stuff is probably going to be at your primary. And if you have the ability and you can take your equipment and your gear to your alternate or your contingency, you should. Don't leave it behind unless you don't have a choice. Like if you need to move fast and light and get the hell out of there quickly because something happened a little more quickly than you thought or it was unexpected, then yeah, you want to get out of there with your bug out bag quickly. But if you have the ability to take as much of your stuff as you can, take it to your alternate. Do whatever you have to do, but do it safely. But the point is, have an actual PACE plan. If you want a little more information about PACE planning, go to my website, thesurvivalsummit.com. Should be plenty of links in my bio on YouTube and on Facebook and on X. Sign up. If you go to the link in the bio, you don't have to go to the website. You can actually click a link that says sign up for the email list, and it'll take you right to it. If you don't see the box where you put your email, then you either have malware bites on or you have an ad blocker, which is stopping it from showing you where to enter your email. A couple people that's happened to, but if you turn that stuff off, you can enter the email. Once you do, wait until after you hit submit, and then there'll be another window that pops up, and it'll be a free PDF link for our complete bug out bag checklist with links. Even if we don't sell the stuff, I've linked the stuff to Amazon, so everything that's on there, you can go look at it on Amazon or on our website or somewhere else. You can buy it from wherever you want. I mean, everyone's going to buy stuff from wherever they get the best deal. And it's hard to match Amazon with if you have Prime, it's hard to match their shipping. So you may want to get stuff on Amazon. But we also offer free shipping, but it's not 2-day. You'd have to pay for 2-day. We're not that fast. And we don't have drivers. We don't have thousands of drivers like Amazon that'll bring you that stuff, at 6 o'clock in the morning the next day. Amazon has pulled off, something that I never thought would be possible. So anyway, that's PACE planning. You can learn more about it. You can also go on our website and read a ton of blogs we have. We have blogs on so many different sections. Everything from covert communications to surviving in the wilderness to living off grid. We have blogs on making pemmican, making hardtack, which is like an old school Civil War type of food that lasts hundreds of years. We have a video on how to make your own 5-year shelf life emergency rations. So if you don't want to buy like the SOS emergency rations, you can make your own. You're just going to want to have a vacuum sealer so that it'll last the full 5 years. And at some point, I may try to jump on stream, which I was going to do on TikTok, and show you guys. We'll do a stream where I actually make it while we're on stream. I'll show you how to do it. You know, we'll do a little bit of cooking. I'm not exactly Julia Child or Martha Stewart, but it might still be a good time. I guess we'll find out. All right, so just to recap, Faraday bag, which I don't think I even mentioned, is 80 decibels of attenuation. The NX3 Faraday bags from Faraday Defense are some of the best Faraday bags in my opinion. If there's another brand you like, make sure they're telling you how many decibels of attenuation they're good for. If you see, you'll see a lot of stuff on Amazon and eBay that they won't tell you because they don't want you to know. And you might be buying literal garbage. You might actually be buying a Mylar food grade bag or an anti-static bag that doesn't even have close to 40 decibels of attenuation. It's not actually going to help you protect your equipment. So you got to be really careful. George Washington, good evening, everyone. George Washington has come back to life and he has entered the stream. Welcome, sir, Mr. Washington. And he is from YouTube. So the new people, we are live streaming for my very first simulcast ever on YouTube and Facebook and X at the same time, which I didn't think I could pull off. My son obviously helped me because I'm not a technological genius by any stretch. But Streamlabs OBS seems to be working really well. I'm really happy with it so far. I'll still live stream on TikTok every once in a while, but they won't be long streams. Most of the streams are going to be on here. And I do like this better, again, because of the wide format. I'm wearing like almost a winter flannel coat with a liner because I'm in my basement and it's very cold down here. So, all right. So EMP bag versus Faraday bag. They both work for an EMP. Sometimes I put out videos that are shorter and people are a little confused. They're like, wait a minute, is the EMP bag for an EMP and the Faraday bag's not? So the Faraday bag, this is the type of bag the FBI would use if they seized electronics and they didn't want anyone to be able to get signal in or out. So they put them in the Faraday bags as a way to keep people out. Same thing as if your key fob. So criminals nowadays can clone your key fob by just getting close to you with the right equipment. But if you keep your key fob, I think I have a smaller, hold on, I got a smaller bag here somewhere. I just don't want to block the camera. All right, I'm gonna move this. So this is a cell phone size NX3. And if you get the 5-piece kit from us, it comes with one of these, slightly bigger, way bigger, and huge. I don't remember the exact size, but you can check on the website. So anyway, this is basically the cell phone version. So there's a lot of reasons why you would use a Faraday bag as an example for your key fob. Don't just put your key fob in your pocket or on your belt. Put it in a Faraday bag. No one can clone it. No one can steal your car with brand new electronics, which they're good at. And let's say, you know, I use this example. I kind of don't like using it, but what if you're an abused spouse and your husband tracks you or your wife tracks you wherever you go? And you want to go try to get some help, but you want to make it look like you're going to work or whatever. You could put your phone in this Faraday bag, and no, you can't be tracked. There's no signal. Now, obviously, you can't use your phone because there's no signal coming in or out. But this basically takes you completely off grid and still have your phone with you. So when you get to where you want to be, where you don't mind, where someone knows you are, take it out of the Faraday bag. But you will have no issues in one of these Faraday bags. But again, be really, really careful where you buy them. George Washington, never been doing well given the current winter weather. Snowing a little bit where I am in the Northeast. It's not too bad. I'll be back in northern Vermont tomorrow, where I'm sure it'll be snowing much more. And I don't know about the rest of the country. But I'm sure there's a lot of winter systems kind of going through a lot of different areas. So anyway, that's the NX3 that you can use for your phone or your key fob, or even if you want to put your crypto wallet in here. If you have crypto and you have it not on an exchange and you have it in a wallet, I would 1,000,000% put it in a Faraday bag. I probably wouldn't even put it in an EMP bag. I'd want to put it in a bag where the signals, because an EMP bag, some signals can still come in or out. These Faraday bags will block 5G, 4G, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, pretty much everything. So you don't need to worry about it. If you're super paranoid, you can put a small Faraday bag in a medium-sized Faraday bag, but you don't have to. That's not necessary. But if you are paranoid, you can do that, and it would definitely help. All right, let me put some of this stuff back. So we talked about EMPs versus solar flares. We also talked about EMP bags versus Faraday bags. It's going to shift some of this stuff out of the way. I don't really want to put it on the floor. So some of the electronics that I keep, one of the big ones for me, because like where I am in northern Vermont, there is no cell signal at the house that I'm staying at, none whatsoever. But there is Wi-Fi. But if I lose power, I lose Wi-Fi, so I can't use my cell phone. So I use a satellite phone. This is the Inmarsat Isostat 2. It's not quite as good as Iridium, but the Iridium will cover the entire world. The Inmarsat will cover the entire world short of the very, very peak of the north and southern poles. So there really isn't anywhere you're ever going to be where this phone isn't going to work, and it's going to work fine. I will say I've found the best place to get these is satellitephonestore.com. And you can get one of these Inmarsat Isostat 2 satellite phones for free. I believe they still have a deal. You can get them for free if you sign up for the monthly plan. But I think the monthly plan you have to sign up for is like $95 a month. But satellite minutes aren't cheap. And so far on cell phones, you can only do emergency satellite texting. You can't do regular. You can't do it on the phone. So having a satellite phone could really save your life, not just in a bug out, because in some circumstances, the satellites may also be down. But this will help you if you go anywhere where you don't have a signal, and it could really make a difference. I put a sticker on the back with my number and with all my satellite information, just so I don't ever forget it, and I have it programmed into my cell phone as well. Lee Alexander, what is anyone's thoughts on Elon Musk's internet satellite mobile? I just purchased one for our motorhome, bug out worthy. I'd like to hear some comments too if anybody does have Starlink. I have not used it, but I hear good things, but kind of secondhand, so I don't really know for sure. So if anyone else in the chat has Starlink, let Lee Alexander know what you think of Starlink. See, from what I hear, you can get some pretty good speeds, and it could be really good. The only time that you're going to have to worry about losing something like Starlink or satellite phones is, a high altitude EMP that affects either the satellites that are more in the orbit versus the satellites that are 22,000 miles or whatever up in space. Inmarsat are up in space, and Iridium, I believe, are more inner orbit satellites. There's another one, I think it's called North Star, but I hear it's pretty trashy, and I think it's only in the United States you can use it, but I hear it's not that good. I haven't heard much good things. The one thing you want to do if you get a satellite phone plan, especially on satellitephonestore.com, you want to get rollover minutes. I probably have 15 plus hours of talk time on this phone because of the rollover minutes. So it's really handy to have rollover minutes. There's also an emergency button on the top. You can see that little red button where you can set it to dial whatever. Wherever you're going to be, you can set it to dial, different police or different fire departments in the area where you're going to be. You can set it a whole bunch of different ways. So I think there's a lot of value in having a satellite phone. Someday, maybe the iPhone 17 or whatever it is, you'll be able to pay for satellite service right through your phone. That would be cool. It's probably not going to be cheap, but it might be cheaper than the current options now. So again, you can get these. I think you can still get them for free as long as you sign up for at least a year on the monthly plan. Now, we don't make any commissions if you shop on satellitephonestore.com, but I did secure a coupon code to save you a $50 activation fee, and that coupon code is TSS. TSS, short for the Survival Summit. But again, we don't make a penny from the plans or from the phones or from anything else they sell there. I just think they're a really good company. I've done stuff with Blue Cosmos before. Those guys are pretty good. But satellitephonestore.com, they seem to have the best deals, and they seem to me like they're a really good company. Brad95, hello from Wisconsin. Hello, Brad. And don't worry, guys. This is a brand new stream, so you don't have to pay for super chats for me to read your chat. But if all of a sudden a month from now we have like 1,000 people in here, I might not see all the comments. So you might have to do a super chat just so I could see them because they get pinned that way. But don't waste your money. Don't spend money sending me super chats or sending me tips or anything like that, unless you really think the stream's awesome and you want to, you want to help out the company. But you don't have to. So I wouldn't even bother. And again, if you only see 30, 40 people from whichever platform you're looking at right now, you're not going to need to do a super chat for me to read your comment. I'm going to read your comment because there's only like 29 people in here. So it's not a problem. It'll be a good problem to have if we end up with hundreds or even thousands of people in the long run that come on and watch this live. That would be great. But may never happen. So who knows? Anyway, that's the Inmarsat. I think it's a sat. Yeah, ItSat phone 2. And the last time I looked a couple days ago, you could still get the phone for free as long as you signed up for the year. So the other product I got that's satellite related, I didn't get really I didn't get it at all for survival and preparedness. This is similar to the InReach, the Garmin InReach. This is the Bivy Stick. I think it's a little cheaper, and it's definitely cheaper to get the minutes. I think it's like $40 or $50 a month. So what this is a satellite messenger. So you would pair this with your phone, with your smartphone. And when you get a signal, there's a little green button here that'll show that you actually have a satellite signal. And you send text messages through the Bivy app on your phone. And even if your light is in and out, because maybe you're in and out of satellite phone service, or you're not hitting the right spot, it'll still send once you hit the green light. So I would position it if you get the green light. Just keep it there until you know the message went through, which you'll see on the app. These Bivy sticks, I think, are really good. I really like them a lot. But the only reason I got this is because my son's high school, they have Wi-Fi in the building, but there is zero cell phone service. So even if you're parked in the parking lot, like even if you could park right up against the brick building, you still don't have service. So they have a pretty good-sized campus where they do all their, football games and baseball and all that track and stuff. And sometimes there's a lot of people parked there. So I have no way to tell my son, hey, I'm here. This is where I'm parked. Meet me, whatever. Or he has no way to tell me, hey, I'll be down in 10 minutes. Where are you? Until now. Because now that I have a satellite messenger, I also gave him a satellite messenger. And we pay for both of the services. So if I need to text him and neither one of us has signal or one of us doesn't have signal, we can do it through the Bivy Stick. The other cool thing about the Bivy Stick, if you don't keep power banks, which you should, and we'll go over those soon. If you don't keep a power bank, the Bivy Stick, they actually have a small foldable solar panel specifically for the Bivy Stick. And it plugs in through a USB port on the back. So you can charge your Bivy Stick with the power of the sun. And they have these little carabiners. These carabiners aren't the best. I'm thinking about upgrading them to be, more of a stainless steel, but these are okay. So what you would do to make it easier, you could clip these on the back of your backpack or clip them to anything where they're at a good angle to the sun. So that's another good way if you don't have a power bank to specifically charge the Bivy Stick. So I think it's pretty slick. All right. So we talked about satellite phone. We talked about the Bivy Stick for satellite. I also hear Garmin InReach is a pretty good setup. I don't have one, but I hear that it's nice. So you could always check out the Garmin InReach. Let's see. Oh, sorry. I'm just looking at something. All right. What do I want to show you guys next? So the next thing I'm going to talk about is something I think that literally everyone should do. And that is keep a spare cell phone. Like if you upgrade to a different iPhone or a different whatever, Android, keep your old phone. Or find any old phone. As long as it's decent and you can still use it. I keep this phone, this spare phone, in a Faraday bag all the time. It's my backup phone. And I also have a connector, which is a USB female end and a lightning connector. So if you have a phone that doesn't have a lightning connector, if you have a brand new, like an iPhone 15 or 16, I think it's a USB-C. So you would get a USB-C to female USB adapter, and you would use that to connect to your phone. Or if you were on an iPad, which for looking at PDFs, I think is much easier, and you can basically scroll down and just read it. On a phone, it's a lot harder. I do have a spare iPad, but I still have to order the right cord because it's an older iPad. So if you have an iPad, you're basically going to want I believe the newer iPads, the one I have is new, So it would be USB-C to female USB. And it's just a little, I have an adapter I can show you guys. I think it's in one of these bags. So I prefer the iPad for looking at, you know, PDFs and things like that. And then you can use this setup to put as many, you can get, you know, whatever, 16 gigabyte, 32 gigabyte, 64, as big as you want of a thumb drive. And I think a guy still sells them on eBay where you can get thousands of survival manuals, like thousands, on one USB thumb drive. If you can't find them on eBay, every time you buy a survival book, if you buy it on Amazon, buy a downloadable ebook copy of it. Because then you can put the books you bought on here. You can put them on a USB thumb drive. So instead of carrying, you know, 100 books at your locations or trying to take books you think are important, why not put thousands of manuals on a USB thumb drive? So if you're doing it with an iPhone specifically and you have the Lightning to USB adapter, all you're going to do is plug it in, put the USB in, and then you're going to go to the Files folder on your iPhone. Once you click the Files folder, which is always on your iPhone, it's not something you have to add. Once you click the File folder, you would then go to where it says unknown drive. Because when you put a random USB in, it's not going to show up with a drive letter or a drive number. It's just going to say unknown drive or unknown device. That's where you're going to find all your PDFs. And you just click them like folders like you would on your computer. The other good thing is Survival Summit sells a ton of online instructional training on USB thumb drives and online streaming. But if you get them on thumb drives, you can use the same adapter either in your phone or in an iPad, and you can watch those instructional films on your phone or your iPad. And if you're protected in an EMP or a Faraday bag, and you have backup solar power, you're never going to have to worry about actually keeping books. I still like to have books, but I'm not going to take them from my primary to my alternate or my contingency or even my emergency location. But if all I need is this, just these items, to have thousands of survival manuals and instructional videos, and if you want to get even more, just get a whole bunch of thumb drives with all the information on them and always have a backup in case one of your drives fails. But if this is all you need to carry in a small Faraday bag to have all that information at your fingertips, why wouldn't you? You'd kind of be crazy not to. I looked the other day, there is someone on eBay selling, like, you know, basically all of the military survival books and a ton of other survival manuals, and you can get them right on a USB. So just do a little research. Don't buy it from some weirdo because you don't know what you're getting. And I haven't gotten anything on there in a while in that regard. And whenever I buy a new book on Amazon or wherever I buy it, I try to make sure I can get a downloadable PDF copy of that information, and I immediately put it on a thumb drive. And I have a backup thumb drive just in case, because again, some of these USBs can fail, and that could be a problem. But I've played our own films in full 1080 on my iPhone and on an iPad, and it's really awesome. I think we even sell the bundles where you can get all of our legacy films on it on one USB. And same thing, we still sell the Gray Beard to Green Beret films. We have Green Beret's No Nonsense Bug Out. We have Into the Ozarks, Into the Woods, and then Wilderness Medical, which is almost 3.5 to 4 hours, teaching you everything from using tourniquets to Israeli pressure dressings, combat gauze, S-rolled gauze, you name it, it's in that film. How to use a SAM splint, even how to make your own suture kit without needing sutures, doing it with strips of duct tape. It's a really, really comprehensive film. And if you're in it, we only sell right now in the United States, so if you're in another country, you can buy online streaming from any other country where you happen to live. And I think maybe we may start selling downloads as well, but downloads can be kind of a pain. Online streaming is much easier and is a lot less maintenance. Survival Summit's really only run by me, by myself, and I work full time. This is not. Survival Summit is kind of my side company. So it's going to be, customer service on downloads is pretty crazy because you only can keep certain people's accounts on downloads and you have to pay for it. And then, you know, months later, they never saved it on a USB, they never saved it on all their devices, or they only saved it on one device, and then that device's hard drive failed, and then they're looking for us to give them the download again, but sometimes their accounts expire. It's a nightmare. So online streaming, that's the reason why you see most people doing online streaming only. But we do offer them on USB. And if TikTok doesn't shut down, there's another gentleman from a company called Practical Survival that will be selling all of our films on DVD. We don't sell the DVDs anymore because we just shipped off a ton of them to those guys to send out to their affiliates so they could check them out and see if they want to push them on, TikTok or Amazon. So we're also hoping our films will be on Amazon, hopefully this year. They should be up. They had a lot of issues trying to get them up. But I think within the next few months, hopefully they'll have all of those up. All right, so I went over the cell phone, backup cell phone, in a Faraday bag just in case. And again, you can get older iPhones pretty cheap. A lot of people sell them pretty cheap. Make sure that you have the PIN number. Don't buy one from someone that you can never unlock and never actually use. I found one of the old iPads the one I need to get the cord for, and my son and I couldn't figure out what the code was. It was a 6-digit numbers. And after like 2 days, my wife comes downstairs and she just types in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the iPad opens right up. I'm like, what? Who put that in there? And how is that even a thing? Anyway, but I do need to find the cord. It's probably somewhere in the house. I just don't know how long it's going to take me to find it. All right, so we went over this. We went over the satellite phone. So the other thing is power banks. And I found you can get the best bang for your buck on Amazon when it comes to power banks. This one is 49,800 mAh. This could probably charge your cell phone 10, 15, 20 times. I haven't tested this one in particular, but this one I like a lot. Don't let the ring fool you. This is not a charger ring. I don't know why they put it there. It kind of makes you think it is, but it's not. But I like this solar charger because it has a USB. These cords are all built in. So it has USB, it has a lightning port for an iPhone, and it also has USB-C for an iPhone or an iPad or whatever other device you have that's USB-C. And it has, I don't even know what this other connection is called, but it's the old school. It's the old school connector that I think I had like on an old Android. And it also has another slot where you can use USB and 2 other, USB-C and then one of the older outlets, which again, I don't recall exactly what it's called. So there's plenty of ways. You can charge this in your wall or you can charge it with the solar panel. So I have a lot of these power banks. These are a little bit older, and I also got these on Amazon, and they're really good. I use these a lot. The one thing, so the older ones do not have USB-C connections. So there's 2 USBs, and then there's one of the old school plugs, which you can use to charge it. But what you want to get is you want to get a USB to USB-C connector. Because I have one of these USB-C to USB connectors in every one of these older, because I have devices that I need to put USB-C in here, and I have devices I can put a USB in here. Because these don't have their own cords like this one. I want to say I paid $30 or $40 for this one. These are only 25,000 mAh, but they're still good. And what I like about these is and we don't sell these, by the way, is it's got a foldable solar panel. So you can tie this little circle here with, twisted tarred number 36 or number 9 bank line, or you can use paracord. Put it on your backpack and charge it while you're wherever you are. Or you can just hang it somewhere with a good angle to the sun, and you can recharge these power banks with the solar panels. Solar has come a long way over the years. It really has. All right. So I have another power bank. I have a bunch of these. I have another one in one of these bags, but I didn't take it out. All right, so one of the other things, let's see. No, that's a car charger. One of the other things I like to carry, now before we really get into a discussion about GPS, you don't want GPS to be your only method of navigation. You want to have like a Sun2 MC2, nice sighting compass. But you also, if you're going to have a compass, you really should have a topo map of your area. So if you have a lot of woods and forest in your primary or your alternate or your contingency or all 3, or you want to get topo maps to the routes to those other locations, so that way if you're off the road and street maps won't work, you can use a topo map. But you really need to learn land navigation. We do have another course that teaches survival land navigation as online streaming or USB. Or you can take a live course with someone like Graybeard Green Beret. People seem to love his Master Land Navigator course. They really, really, everybody that's ever been to it loves it and say he's one of the most amazing teachers of land navigation they've ever come across. So if you got the scratch and you want to get live training, go train with him. I think it's like a 4-day class. They usually run it in Utah or somewhere where there's a lot more land than the Northeast where he does other training. So I would definitely learn land navigation. You can learn a lot more than you think, even just from our video, which is like 7 or 8 years old. But it's an instructional film called Survival Land Navigation, and it goes through a lot of good stuff to really give you a good foundation on land navigation. So always keep the best place to get topo maps, in my opinion, is mytopo.com. So if you go to mytopo.com, you can basically get a topo map and even a waterproof version of a topo map for anywhere you want. But I still like the good old GPS. I personally love this Garmin 64 ST. It's really nice. I think I paid a couple $100 for it. It might have been $200 or $300, but they're probably cheaper now. You can probably get them at a pretty good rate. And there's probably better versions of the Garmin 64 ST that are out there as well. I don't have any links for this because I bought this years ago. So I'd highly recommend checking out. If you can find one of the Garmin 64 STs or something similar or better, definitely have one as a backup. I would highly recommend it. I also have one of the Garmin, I think it's not the Fortrex. It's like a strap-on wrist GPS. It doesn't have the same really good maps as these GPSs, but it still has good, little maps with good waypoints. So if you're in a certain area and you want to mark different locations, like you want to mark where, that's the other thing I like about these, so you don't have to write everything all over a topo map. If you want to mark a location that has your good water source, boom, waypoint. You want to mark where the berries grow, the good berries you can eat in the forest are, mark a waypoint. You want to mark an animal trail that you don't want to, you're out foraging or you're out getting firewood and you want to mark a really good spot where you saw some game trails that converge, or you saw like a bedding area for deer and you don't want to lose track of where that is, GPS. Boom, set it in a waypoint. You could do it on a topo map too, but it's so much easier just to hit a couple buttons and set your waypoint on a GPS. There's so many different reasons to set a lot of, and you can mark what all those waypoints are. So no matter where you are, you can get back to wherever it is. If you're going hiking somewhere or you're going to be off grid or way away from your vehicle, make sure you mark where your vehicle is as your waypoint. So no matter what, if you get lost, you can always get your way back to that vehicle. And I think with some of these Garmins, you can even do like a bird's eye view, it's called, which is basically a satellite view looking down. So it's not just like a topo grid, but you can actually do a satellite view and see all the land features like ponds and lakes and mountains and streams. You can see that stuff in the bird's eye view. So it might actually help you to be able to find a water source that you didn't know you were that close to. So I love GPS. I think they're great. But again, please have land navigation skills. And if you're going hiking or going off grid, have a signal kit. And at some point, I'll go through the Boss kits with you guys because I have a really good signal kit. We sell all the Boss kits on our site. And it's got everything from, almost like little smoke grenades to fluorescent powder that you put in a body of water. So if you need to attract the attention of a helicopter or a plane, it has all kinds of like reflective tacks. So if you're trying to, leave a trail somewhere to where you're going, you can have kind of like a breadcrumb trail that's not going to disappear by getting eaten by squirrels. You can do it with reflective tape. I think it has a whole bunch of stuff. It has chalk, so if you got to write on rocks, it's got markers, it's got write in the rain, waterproof paper if you need to make notes or leave notes somewhere. There's a lot of stuff that comes in the Boss signal kit. And the Boss kits have a fire kit, a fishing and hunting kit, a land nav kit, a shelter kit, and a water kit. They have a ton of stuff. They're really good kits. They're not top of the line gear, but they're middle of the road, halfway decent gear. And if you're using it as a supplemental kit, or especially if you want to use it for training and you don't want to, beat up your good gear, I recommend, if you have the money, your main bug out bag, whether it's your winter kit and your winter supplemental, which should be a lot heavier and a lot bigger than your summer kit, that you don't use the same gear. A lot of guys do, but I personally don't use the same gear I train with. So if I'm going out and I'm practicing or I'm training, I use a totally different setup. I want everything in my bug out bag to basically be unused. Like I don't want my silky saw to be, have the teeth half worn down. If I'm in a survival situation and I need to put away a ton of firewood in the winter and maybe I lost my axe and I really want my silky saw, I don't want to use a silky saw that I use all the time making videos or doing training, because those teeth are going to be more worn down. So I want to start fresh, but not everyone's going to be able to do that. I mean, obviously, I sell a lot of gear, so I get wholesale pricing, so I can have multiple kits. It's a little easier for me. But again, I also put a lot of my own money into Survival Summit because the industry's been really slow lately. So I put a lot of money into the normal monthly bills that go with the company, even when we don't sell stuff. I still have to keep it going because I don't want to not keep it going. Some months are better than others, but some are very slow. So anyway, that's the way I do it. I definitely would have a GPS if I were you. Another thing that I have that sometimes I take with me when I go to Vermont, and I don't think I have a link in my bio for these at all. I may have, but I don't think I do. This is the EcoFlow River 2. This is a 300 watt, basically a power bank. Not, I guess you could call it a power generator. But I also have 110 watt, really big folding solar panels for this to recharge this. You can also recharge this in your car. You can recharge it in the outlet. And it's not like some of the other power banks where they go up to 80% and then they kind of don't go much further. This you can charge, I think, in an hour, 100%. It's a really, really good system. It's got USB ports, USB-C, AC power with the outlets. It's got a car charger here as well. I also keep this in a big Faraday bag, and I also keep, so in the event of a high altitude EMP or something similar, your solar panels themselves wouldn't really be affected, but the wiring connecting between your solar generator or your controller, if you're doing it for your house, you're going to want to protect the wiring because some of that wiring could get damaged from a high altitude EMP. So I even keep I don't have to, but I keep my solar panels also in a big Faraday bag. And they're also like in a case with a zipper. I barely got it in there, but it fits. So I keep this kind of stuff as a backup. Now, EcoFlow, they're great because you can get the River 2 for like $130, I think, on sale, and you can get the panels are a little bit more expensive. Or you can get the River 2 Max, the River 2 Pro, or if you want to protect your house, get into the Delta series. And the Delta series, they have some systems that might cost you between $5,000 and $9,000 or $10,000. But they have systems that can run your entire house for up to 40 or 50 hours before they even need to be recharged. And you're still going to be passively charging them with solar anyway. So a lot of guys will buy the big Delta Ultra series and they'll stack a ton of batteries so that they have a lot of backup power and they're constantly powering them with solar. So if you need to run your entire house and your entire property, you can do it. And you're not going to have to pay what you used to pay because it's a lot cheaper going through a company like EcoFlow. At some point, I'll probably get some, pretty sure I don't have a link. Hey, Heather Lee, good evening. Heather Lee is someone who's been on the stream a lot on TikTok, and she is now with us with YouTube. Hey, moderator, how many people do we have on YouTube versus Facebook and X? X is a super small channel for us, so it's probably not very many, but that's okay. One on Facebook? Really? 12 on X? 12 on Twitter and only one on Facebook? And then the rest is on YouTube? I find that crazy because we have almost 136.5 thousand people on Facebook and we only have 1,400 on X. So if we have 12 people from X, welcome people of X and thank you for coming in. We'll grow because what we have right now is 29 or 30 viewers, which is usually the low end of, what we have on TikTok normally. TikTok can range between like 12 to 30, and sometimes it pops up from 50 to 100. I thought you were coming on at 7. I did. Eastern time. If you're in a different time zone, then you may have missed the beginning. I think I came on at 6:50, actually. I was on here a little bit earlier just to make sure I didn't have any issues. But like I said in TikTok, I thought I might have issues, but I don't. I have multi-stream chat so I can see whichever platform somebody's popping in the chat, which platform they're coming from. And the only platform I'm not live on is Instagram, but only because I'm lazy and I don't want to have to put in the stream code because on there you have to go live first. And then it's not that hard, but I didn't do it. I just went live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. I wasn't even going to do X at all because it's such a small platform for us. But half the people that are on here are from X. So that's kind of cool. Will Ames, yeah, Heather, he did. Yep, EST for sure. But I was on here early, I swear. I swear I was. And I'm probably going to do this at 7 o'clock also tomorrow if I get to Vermont in time, as long as the weather's not crazy. And then all through the week. And I'll be up there for 14 days straight. I'll actually be working for 14 days straight, about 11 hours a day. But I should still be able to come on at 7 o'clock every single night. Not that you guys want to see me every night, but you're going to see me every night. Doesn't mean you have to be here, but I will be here. Yeah, sorry, Heather. Sorry. I thought I mentioned EST, but I may not have. I don't know. I have a terrible memory. I might not have. I've seen a few people that came from TikTok, but I don't. There's a couple other regulars that I haven't seen on here. I think tomorrow I'll probably go live on Instagram as well, because maybe I'll get more people on there. I mean, I didn't think I'd get anybody from Twitter, and I have, at least 12 people from Twitter on a very small account, and one person from Facebook with a very big account, which kind of blows my mind a little bit, but hey, whatever. I got to reach out to my old one of my old friends' Discord servers, because there's a ton of people on there that we used to talk all the time. And I think I could get a lot of them on here as well. Groundfog, are you on Rumble, Telegram, and Signal? So I am on Rumble, but I don't post on Rumble anymore. And I didn't realize probably 4 or 5 months ago that YouTube no longer syncs with Rumble. So when I put a video up on YouTube, it no longer automatically goes on Rumble. And I didn't have a lot of good luck on Rumble. I've had videos get millions of views on YouTube and other platforms like TikTok, and on Rumble, nothing. They get like 100. So I don't know what's going on. And the people at Rumble actually promised me that if I went on Rumble, that they would put Survival Summit, at least for a few days, on the front page, and they'd make it very visible so people would see that we're there. But they never did. I followed up with them like 3 times, and they never bothered. So I basically wrote off Rumble. Sorry, Rumble. See you later. We're still on there, but I don't post anything on there. I don't even think I've logged into Rumble in months, so I don't know. Yeah, I haven't been on Discord in a while. Last year, I was in New Hampshire for most of the year. This year, I'll be in Vermont for most of the year. There's a possibility I could be in Pennsylvania after that for 2 years, but I'm not 100% sure yet. I don't know. But I missed the Discord server. If you guys want to check that out, it's called Static Trading. I'm pretty sure it's still up. I'm pretty sure they're still on there. But it's a pretty close-knit community of people. There's a lot of people, and there's a lot of people that are really good at charting crypto. They're really good at all of the ins and outs of, figuring out all the Fibonacci stuff, I guess is one way to put it. But don't worry, we're not going to talk about crypto really on here that much. But if you are into crypto, go check out Static Trading. I don't think it's public. I think you have to request to be able to get in. And I think it's paid. Pretty sure it's paid. I'm not sure. I used to be a moderator on there. And if you guys were listening to TikTok the other day with Nino, who's my resident expert in off-road vehicles, especially Land Rovers, like the Land Rover Defender, the one that was featured in our film with E.J. Snyder, Ultimate Buggin' and Home Defense. And then the book we came out with, EJ and I wrote together, it's called Emergency Home Preparedness. That came out on Amazon in October of this year. And you can see that in the link in our bio. I know that link's in there. So, and it's only like $13.49 for the hard copy book. And it's really high quality paper with color pictures. It's a good book. So check that out with the link in our bio. One of the other things, I will mention it because I really, really am a big fan of the people that run this company and the company, are these practical survival water straws. These are good for 1,800 gallons. They didn't used to. They now come with a plunger so you can back flush just like you can with the Sawyers. And I really like these. The 2-packs, I don't remember how much they cost. I want to say the 2-pack is $20 or $30. There's a 5-pack that I think is either $50 or $60. It's a really good deal, and they're really good quality. And they're a really good company. So those links are also on there. One of the other things I keep in basically my supplemental electronics kit is one of these. It's got, a NOAA emergency radio. It's also got 7 shortwave bands. These are, I think, like $60, and I do have a link. These are hand crank, so you can recharge them with a hand crank. It's got a 600 mAh battery in here, so you could technically charge your phone, but it's not that big of mAh. You going somewhere? Oh, yeah, go ahead. I'll be on for a while, so you coming back down? All right, just making sure my moderator will be coming back. Anyway, so it's got a hand crank. It's also got solar, and it's got batteries, the 600 mAh battery built in. So a lot of these that you can find cheaper on some of the, like Amazon, a lot of them don't have 7 shortwave channels. You're not going to communicate with it, but you can listen to a lot of different broadcasts from all over the place with shortwave. So if you're looking for information, you can keep one of these. And it's got a nice little clip here, so you can hang it on something. I like it. I think it's a good radio. There's also another good radio called the Voyager. I don't remember where I bought it. I've had it for a really long time. I have an extra one also in a Faraday bag. But the Voyager radio is also really good. And I don't have, well, I have a couple ham radios somewhere. I still haven't found them. Somebody sent them to me. But I really don't know a lot about ham radio, which is embarrassing because we have a film called Survival Communications where one of our film experts goes through everything having to do with ham radios. Good night, everyone. Be ready. Take it easy, Lee. Heather Lee, on that, if you're going to backflow with, yeah, definitely you want to backflush with clean water. Don't do it with dirty water for sure. How exactly if the only source is what comes through the straw? Yes, boil some, exactly. But wait till it cools off. Don't put boiling water through the plunger. But you definitely want to boil water and use that to clean. So that's why I always say you want to carry one of these. This is a newer one. Still got water in it for some reason. I showed the other one on stream. If you boil water all the time, this is going to be completely black because it's charred to hell. That's the one I usually have if I'm doing training or if I'm going out and doing whatever. But again, most of the stuff in my bug out bags is pretty new. So I always keep a single wall. Do not use an insulated bottle. Do not, because they have a double wall and they can explode when they get on heat because of that double wall with the gap in the middle. We used to get comments like, oh, just drill holes. Why? You can get a single wall stainless steel bottle. This one comes with a cup set, so the cup goes up to about here. So you can boil water in the bottle and then keep water in here. You can boil water in the cup, let it cool, drink it, and then you still have an entire full bottle of water. Whenever you hit a water source, always try to refill. The other good thing about having a bottle and cup set is if you have a Camelback bladder, you boil water, let it cool, fill up your Camelback bladder that's in your backpack, boil water again, fill up your cup, boil water again, fill up your bottle, and keep the 32 ounces of water with you wherever you go. You don't ever want to pass up water. One other thing about hydration, and I'm sorry, my boiler just went on, so it might be a little bit loud down here now. One other thing about hydration, like if you're going to go out somewhere and you know that you're going to be out in the middle of nowhere, you can overhydrate, but you'd have to drink a ton of water to do that. And you definitely want electrolytes for sure. But you can drink as much, that whole thing where you're saving water and you're only drinking like a little bottle cap to try to save it over the long term, it doesn't work like that because you hydrate too quickly. And trying to ration water is never a good idea. When you start to get dehydrated, it's a lot harder to get hydration back. So whenever you hit a water source, just drink a ton of water, just so you stay fully hydrated at all times. But remember, you want electrolytes. So I carry a very small bottle with electrolyte powder that I buy on Amazon, and I think it's called Caged with a K, and it's cheap. You can get, I think it's 60 servings for like $30. And the little bottle, the cap is a serving size, and I can fit like 15 or 20 servings in this little plastic bottle. I also bought the little plastic bottle on Amazon, and they're super cheap. So I keep one of those bottles of electrolyte powder and everything. Because if you have no food, they say you can live for 3 weeks to 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks. But if you're only drinking water and you're not getting any electrolytes, you're not going to live that long. You have to have electrolytes. And I say it every stream, or I did on TikTok. If you run out of food and you're looking for electrolytes, you can eat pine sap for electrolytes, dandelion roots, all kinds of other plants. And I'll mention it on this stream as well. If you're looking to learn how to forage and learn what plants are what trees are what bushes, all the stuff, berries, get the app on your phone called Picture This. It's like $20 for the year. You can go out and take a picture of a tree or a plant or a bush, whatever it is, and it'll scan it and it'll tell you exactly what it is. And it'll tell you if it's safe. It'll tell you the uses for it. It'll even tell you if it's sick and how to get it back to health. It's one of the most handy apps ever. So if you're looking to learn, you don't want to carry all these books out there with you, trying to figure out what's what, use the app. Use technology while we still can to your advantage. I think the Picture This app is amazing. You know, if I'm out somewhere, I'm like, what is that plant? It looks like maybe it's poison ivy. And then you take a picture, boom, it'll tell you exactly what it is. So I think it comes in really, really handy. And again, I'll go over some of the books at some point. One of my favorite foraging books, one of my favorite, medicinal books when it comes to, plant medicine, and one of my favorite books as far as identification and a lot of other different things. And again, try to get them on a USB. Try to have a backup. Try to have a power bank. Try to keep all that stuff in a Faraday bag just in case. So sorry, that was a very long conversation for me just to say, yes, boil water if you want to use the plunger to back flush your straw. And again, I'll beat up this point a million times. When you're getting water from a source, especially if it's like a little bit of a muddy, dirty pond, find some kind of container you have and put filters of sand, rock, greenery. Filter the water through that. It'll take out a lot of the sediment. It'll take out a lot of the particulates, and it'll be much easier on your filter. Because the straw filters, such as Practical Survival, Sawyer, Life Straw, they're all membrane filters. So you want to keep them as clean as you can. They also sell it's like a little bag, and you can buy it on like bushcraft stores. But it's basically like a little canvas bag where you pour your water through, and all the sediment stays in the bag, and the clean water comes out of the corner of the bag. They're really, really handy. It's a lot easier than trying to make a cup or whatever. But again, remember, the more skills you have, the less gear you need, the less reliant you are on gear. Doesn't mean you don't want to have all the good gear, because in a survival situation, you don't want to have to be making a bow drill set to make a fire. You should have a lighter in your pocket. This goes back to pace planning. What's my pace for fire? What's your pace plan for fire? Why do you need a pace plan for fire? Well, that's pretty simple. If your lighter is your primary and you lose fluid, or you run out of fluid, or it breaks, or something happens to the flint and you can't get your lighter to work, or it's, whatever the reason is, what's your alternate? Your alternate, for me, it's stormproof matches. Matches that I can literally light, stick in a cup of water, and they still burn. When I take it out, still burning. So the really good, like the Titan stormproof matches, are amazing. That would be my alternate. What would be my contingency in the PACE acronym? That would be a ferro rod, a ferrocerium rod. And again, for the new people, if you get a ferro rod, they're coated in a black coating. You have to scrape that black coating off till it's silver. Then you can get your sparks. And most of the ferro rods come with a striker, or you can use the back of your knife. If you're using the back of your knife and you're not getting sparks very good or at all, that means the spine of your knife or your saw is not a good 90-degree sharp corner. The best knife, in my opinion, or one of the best knives for bushcraft, and especially for ferro rods, is the Mora Garberg Carbon Black. Or you can use the Mora Bushcraft Black. But I think, to me, one of the best knives is the Mora Garberg Carbon Black. I also have another one from Perseverance Survival. They only made one run, but it's made by Tops. This one also has a super awesome 90-degree spine. So this will throw some insane sparks from a good ferro rod. The best ferro rods that I've ever found, Uberleben Craftig. They have a 5-inch and an 8-inch. And I do sell them on the site. So if you go to the website, thesurvivalsummit.com, and you look up fire, you'll find those ferro rods, and you won't find any other brands, because those are my favorite, and I think they're amazing. Heather Lee, I'd already purchased Faraday bags before I found you. What exactly needs to go in them? Basically, any electronics you want to keep safe, essentially. If you're worried about, a solar flare and you don't want stuff plugged in the grid, or if you're worried about a high-altitude EMP, or it's just a good way to protect them overall. Not even from that. There's a lot of good reasons to have them in a Faraday bag. But I would check. I would just check to make sure that, you know what the decibels of attenuation are, what the quality is of the bag. If somebody doesn't give you that information when you buy those, maybe you shouldn't buy them. Do a little bit of research. There's companies that have tested all kinds of different brands of EMP / or Faraday bags, and they tell you whether or not they're garbage or not. So whatever you buy, always do a ton of research. That's one of the reasons why we sell very specific products for very specific categories on our website is because they've been tested by either Graybeard Green Beret, E.J. Snyder, or back when we used to work with like Tim Kennedy from Sheepdog Response, Jonathan Holloman from the Survival Bug Out film. All the stuff that we sell has been field tested like crazy. Doesn't mean there's not other brands that are just as good or other different types of gear that are just as good. These are just a collection of what our favorite instructors like to use. Heather Lee, the wires too, yes. I would definitely, especially like the wiring connections between either a controller or a solar panel and a power bank or a power generator, I would put the wires in. And I would put the wires to everything in with the device in the Faraday bag. One, so you don't lose them and you know what they're supposed to go with. And you can get little cord keepers. They're like little rubber cord keepers. I just bought some more on Amazon, and I got them today because I have so many cords for all this equipment. And the cord keepers will keep them wrapped nice and tight. And I just throw those in. You can even use the cord keepers to put like a cord to a bank that has its own power cord that's not built in like this one. And you can put it around the whole thing with the cord attached to it. It's good organization, and it also helps protect all of your electronics. And again, not just from an EMP, but it protects them from getting, abrasive and getting, ruined. You just really need to pack things nicely so that, you're taking care of your stuff. Because you know how it is. You start shoving a bunch of cords in your bug out bag, and they're going to get cut, they're going to get bent, they're going to get crimped. They're not going to work as well. They may stop working, or you just don't want to do that. You want to make sure everything is kind of put together well. Catherine Roberts, I wish I could understand what you're saying. Oh, I'm hearing impaired. I wonder if I can do closed captions on these streams in the future. It might be possible. I have to see if Streamlabs OBS can do that. But everybody else in the chat, is my volume okay? Or should it go up a little bit? What do you guys think? David Werner, field tested so you conduct high... Yeah, I didn't say field tested on the EMP bag, smartass. I said the gear. The gear on our site has all been field tested. And believe it or not, there are people that test with equipment that you don't need an actual high altitude EMP to test a Faraday bag. That's how science works. You don't have to actually have an EMP to do that. The government's done testing on with EMP equipment, and it's very, very expensive. So you can keep your smart-ass comment, little David Werner, because we don't need that. Anyway, let's see. I just want to go back up through the comments, make sure I didn't miss anything. Kind of helps when you pay attention to the context of everything that I'm speaking about. Usually makes a difference. All right. I'm just scrolling back up, make sure I didn't miss anything. My moderator, I was going to ask him what we're at for viewer counts on different platforms, but he is not here. Arcstorm Prepper, what chat are you watching this one on X, not showing in our participants? Hold on a second. I can open up X on this end, because my moderator told me that like 20 minutes ago there was about 12 on X. So right now I'm on Streamlabs OBS, so I can't actually see. Well, let me see if I can. No, I can't see where the viewers are coming from. I can see which platform you're on. Like I can see Arcstorm Prepper, you are coming from X. David Werner was coming from YouTube. Catherine Roberts was coming from Facebook. But I have to actually look at the platform, which my moderator was doing, but he went up to eat. So let me pull up X and see if I see it real quick. Let's see. I got to click on this. Yeah, I can see it right now. It says live 16 views. So there's 16 people currently from X, and there are, let's see, YouTube. I have to actually click that open. Which my moderator was doing, but he went up to eat. So let me pull up X and see if I see it real quick. I don't actually see it. Let's see. I got to click on this. Yeah, I can see it right now. It says live 16 views. Hold on, let me expand. So there's 16 people currently from X, and there are... Oh, yeah, let's see, YouTube. I have to actually click that open. Which my moderator was doing, but he went up to eat. So let me pull up X and see if I see it real quick. I don't actually see it. Let's see. I got to click on this.
Yeah, I can see it right now. It says live 16 views.
Hold on, let me expand.
So there's 16 people currently from X, and there are.
Oh, yeah,
Let's
it
see,
says 13
YouTube. I have to
watching.
actually click that,
So it's
which my
13
moderator was doing, but he went up to eat. So let me pull up X and see if I see it real quick.
I don't actually
Let's see. I gotta click on this. Yeah, I can see it right now. It says live 16 views.
Hold on, let me expand.
So there's 16 people currently from X, and there are.
Oh, yeah,
Let's
it
see,
says 13
YouTube. I have to actually click that, which my moderator was doing, but he went up to eat. So let me pull up X and see if I see it real quick.
I don't actually
Let's see. I gotta click on this. Yeah, I can see it right now. It says live 16 views. So there's 16 people currently from X. I gotta click on. And there are. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see it right now. It says live 16 views. He went up to eat. So let me pull up X and see if I see it. Yeah, I can see it right now. It says live 16. I gotta click on this. Oh, yeah, I can see it right now. It says live 16.
So I'm going to close all those windows. Oh, you are looping on YouTube? Even still right now? It's probably because I had YouTube open and I opened the live, but I just closed it, so hopefully I'm still good. You guys still hear me? Hello? I think I fixed it. Please let me know in the chat if this is fixed now or if I totally screwed this up. Okay, good. Yeah, I should have not opened all those other channels because I literally opened 3 different lives, one on X, one on YouTube, and one on Twitter in the background, not thinking that I would have had to turn off my desktop audio to do that. I should have muted it, which I'm going to mute it right now. So if I ever did that again, I will not have it on. Old Desert Rat on X in Minnesota. Welcome, Old Desert Rat. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. This is our very first stream on any other platform aside from TikTok. TikTok just tried to restrict me. They wouldn't let me talk about even the links I have in my own bio on TikTok. They wouldn't let me push anyone to like anywhere. If I wanted to talk about something that someone else was selling on Amazon, they didn't like it. They gave me a lot of issues. They actually gave me penalties for it. So, all right, Arcstorm Prepper, see you later if you are taking off. So note to self, don't look at platforms again and open up the lives because it's going to really screw with audio. But again, as a backup, I turned off desktop audio so that you guys wouldn't be able to hear it through here. So hopefully it's better. All right, do you guys have any questions about any of the stuff we looked at, any of the different techniques we talked about, any of that type of stuff? Just let me know. I think one of the, I didn't even go over flashlights. I have a little bit of an addiction to high-powered, high-lumen flashlights. We do sell Nikkor, but I'm pretty sure we're all out of any of the lights I have sitting here. So, but one of the good ones is the P20iX. I like these newer Nikkor, but also Streamlight makes good ones. There's a lot of different brands that are kind of made almost by the same places. And this one, I believe, is I think it's a 4,000 lumen. I have an MH12 GTS, which is a 2,000 lumen. But I like the new ones because they have the USB-C charger right in the light. So you don't have to unscrew and put in the battery unless your battery failed for some reason. But I've recharged these countless times, and they're really awesome. Like, you can't see because it's dark, but these are... Actually, I don't even think that's all the way up. Oh, yeah, it is. But it's very bright in the dark. And they're also made of aircraft aluminum, and they're really good for defense if you need to defend yourself with one of these. They're really good for that. They're also very blinding. So if you're in, a dark alley or somewhere very dark and someone comes up on you, you hit them with the, 2 or 4,000 lumen, they're going to be temporarily blinded. With enough time for you to close the gap or for you to run away. You probably should run away. You don't know if they have any other type of weapon, so you need to be more careful unless you have a lot of skill when it comes to hand-to-hand. If you're really good at jiu-jitsu, you're good at boxing, Muay Thai, if you have your own weapon. But if you don't and you're not that comfortable, just blind them maybe crack them once, and get out of there. Just go, just leave. It's not risk. It's not worth risking your life. Now, if you were with family, you need to protect family. You need to take them out, blind them with the light, smash them right between the eyes, and get them out of there. If you got to protect your family. Arkstorm Prepper, I have written over 70 books, fiction and nonfiction, for preparedness community. Can I message you to send some books, some free books? Absolutely, you can. What you should do is email me, and the email is Jesse, Jesse, at thesurvivalsummit.com. And if you don't have anything to write that down, if you go to the link in our bio and go to our website, you can send an email through the contact form on our website as well. Or you can send one to info@thesurvivalsummit.com. But yeah, definitely shoot me a message on some of those books, and I'll check them out. I'll go through them. I'll see, what I think of them, and yeah, we'll go from there. 70 books. That's a lot of books. That really is. I'm definitely interested in seeing those for sure. Absolutely. Let's see. Yeah, definitely shoot me a message. I'll check you out on X and whatever other platforms. If you're on other social media, shoot some of those links in the email as well. That's one thing about me and one thing about Survival Summit, because this is really a one-person operation and I do work full-time. If anyone responds to you, normally it's me. Now, I do have like the wife and my son, and I have another guy who occasionally does some stuff with social media. And I have a couple people that will block people on social media that are lunatics. But generally speaking, it's me. You send an email, you're going to get an email back from me most of the time. Old Desert Rat, here it is, our first legal option. We have to flee to safety before addressing conflict. Gotcha. Yeah, there's not a lot of stand your ground laws everywhere. In some places there is, and even in some places where there is, there really isn't. It depends on who's running the state. You might still get charged. You may still have a lot of issues. But, in certain circumstances, especially if you have family and there's no real good way for you to retreat and you have to defend, there's a lot of... But it's also, in some states, you're going to have a problem and you're going to have to pay for an attorney. And you're going to have to spend a lot of money just to clear your name. And that could break people. It costs so much when it shouldn't even have happened in the first place. But you have to be careful. You really need to be really good with situational awareness. A lot of people are like, oh, that's profiling. Well, how do you think situational awareness works? If you're in an area and you know the baseline, and the baseline is off, a lot of times you'll get a gut feeling about someone you see or someone close to you, wherever you might be. You have to go by that gut feeling, because generally speaking, that gut feeling is your God-given ability to recognize something is wrong. It's your brain telling you something is wrong, because even if you don't recognize it, that when you get a gut feeling like that about someone or something, or the situation might feel wrong, you have to go with your gut all the time, because your brain may be interpreting signals that this guy is acting out of the main baseline. He's not being normal. He's either looking at you strangely, or you may actually be catching things in your peripheral vision that he's doing, that your brain is saying, this isn't normal. This isn't the baseline. Even if you're not interpreting it and understanding it that way, that gut feeling, that is your interpretation. That's why people say always, always go with your gut, because that is literally an interpretation. Just like in poker, if you guys ever watch, Texas Hold'em, they say, oh, that guy's a super reader. He's basically a psychic. No, his brain is catching everything people are doing. And in a lot of cases, he may even think, oh, I'm just really good at, figuring out what people are doing. He may not even be putting every single piece of the puzzle together, but his brain is. And his gut is telling him, this guy is not, he's acting differently, and this is what he's doing. And some of those guys are really, really good at it. And some of them don't even know how they're doing it exactly. Some of them do, some of them don't. It's a gut feeling. Arkstorm Prepper can protect life, not property in most states. Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate. Well, hey, maybe the tide will be shifting and things will be changing now that we're having a change in leadership, since we really haven't had leadership at all in the last, 4 years. All right. I shouldn't be drinking this caffeinated drink right now, but whatever. I really like coming on here. I don't really, whatever the platform, I like coming on here and just talking back and forth, going through comments. I don't ever want to come on here and just talk a bunch of whatever. I really want to get to know the community, get to know you guys. And I really want these channels to get really big so we can get to know each other. Because there's so many people, they don't have a group, they don't have a good community, they don't have people they can train with. But if all, if in a year from now we have, a couple hundred people or a couple thousand people on here constantly, you guys can start talking to each other. When this gets big enough, I think I'm going to start a separate Discord. Actually, wait a minute. Survival Summit does have a Discord channel, but I haven't used it in like a year or two. So at some point, we'll get Discord going when we get a lot of people, and then we can get on and actually talk to each other. Like, without having to type in the chat, we can actually, talk amongst ourselves. So that would be ideal, because if there really is a big event or several big events in the country where things go really, really wrong, we're going to need community. We're going to need people. We're going to need to work together. David Werner, betas refer to situational awareness as racism. Absolutely, that is correct. They do. Then again, most victims are betas. That is also, I would think, a very, very, very accurate statement for sure. It's unfortunate. There's a really good film on situational awareness so I used to be the chief operating officer for Tim Kennedy's company, Sheepdog Response. I basically oversaw all the e-commerce, the training division. They had a training director, but I was pretty much running that for about 5 years. And they made a film with a former Intel guy, and unfortunately that guy died, I think a year or two ago. He actually took his own life, which is really unfortunate. He used to be embedded with a lot of the special forces throughout Iraq and Afghanistan, and sadly he took his own life not that long ago. But that film on situational awareness that they made is really, really excellent. And I believe Sheepdog Response still sells that as online streaming. They never sold DVDs or USBs like we do. They actually used to sell all of Survival Summit's films on there way back in the day. And we sold a lot through those guys. Anyway, check out their situational awareness course. It's really excellent. They also have a lot of courses. They used to call them Sheepdog Level 1 and 2, but now they're called Protector Level 1 and 2. And they have everything. They have training on carbine. They have training on, they used to call it SOTEC, but it's like a TCCC type training, basically tactical combat casualty care. Kind of a mix between TECC and TCCC. But they have a really good guy that teaches a lot of that stuff. And all their instructors are either current or former Green Berets, and they're just really, really high-quality shooters, high-quality fighters. Tim was top 5 middleweight in the UFC when he was in the UFC, and they teach a lot. They teach a lot of really amazing stuff. Unfortunately, a little bit of controversy surrounding Tim's book that came out recently, but we're not going to get into that because I think there's a lot of mud being slung out there, and for a lot of reasons that it shouldn't be, but whatever. The tactical industry is cutthroat. It's really bad. It's very, very crazy. Survival industry is not much better in some circles. There are some companies and some guys that are big names that are total pieces of crap. And then there is a ton of awesome people that like to work together. I mean, hell, for 7 years out of Survival Summit's 10 years of being around, we used to push other instructors and other gear. We never even sold gear for like the first 7 years that we even existed. And we still talked about gear. We still push people to a lot of different places. But a lot of companies they look at competition as strict competition. They don't want to work together. They want to tear you down behind the scenes. We don't do that kind of stuff. We don't get into that. We're trying to build communities. We're trying to get people together. We're trying to get as much knowledge. Again, I'm not an instructor. By no means am I an instructor. I would be like 1/10 of 1% of somebody like Graybeard Green Beret or E.J. Snyder. I just happen to have a lot of knowledge from doing a lot of training with these guys over the years, doing a lot of training on my own over the years, and producing a bunch of films where we go through all this stuff. So I've accumulated a lot of knowledge, and anyone can accumulate the knowledge, but you need to be out there practicing and training because you need to accumulate the skill set in everything. Marjorie Mahuda, never can learn too much, always be open to learn. And that's the way it should be with everyone, especially when it comes to firearms training. That is a very perishable skill. You really need to stay on that. Even if you can't go anywhere, you should be doing dry fire drills in your house. There's a lot of stuff you can work on. Clearing your shirt if you're carrying conceal, which you should be anyway. There's a lot of things you can work on. You know, Arc Storm Prepper, that's fact. What you speak of, yeah. It's just the industry can be pretty crazy. Old Desert Rat sounds like any group. So I don't know. I just think training is highly important. If you're going to go out and buy a $1,000 gun, you should have at least 10 grand worth of training. I'd rather buy a $500 gun and spend the rest of the money on training than I would be buying something fancy with a million accessories. I'd rather be much better in all the fundamentals, everything having to do with fundamentals. There's guys out there that are training and shooting, and they don't even know which eye is their dominant eye, which to me is a little bit crazy. And if they're old school and they're still closing one eye to aim with a pistol, and let's say they're closing their right eye because they're right-handed, but they're actually right eye dominant, they're going to be a terrible shot. They're going to be off by like this much almost all the time. It's just little stuff. The fundamentals is where it's at. You need to train the fundamentals all the time. Same thing with fire. If you get really good at putting together a tinder bundle, and you get really good with a ferro rod, and you're really good with making a bow drill, well, if you get really to a certain level, you need to go out in the pouring rain and see if you can still get enough protection over your head with a shelter and still be able to put together a tinder bundle. Do you know which trees to scrape the finer tinder? Do you know yellow birch is one of the best? Do you have cedar? Do you have white birch that you can do? All that stuff you need to practice in the rain, in the snow, in the wind. If you're not good enough to do it when it's dry out, you need to get good. And then once you get to a certain level, do it in the rain, do it in the snow. Learn as much as you can and train. Same as if you're at the range. Don't go to like a nice, cool, air-conditioned range every time you want to go get better at shooting. You want to do some push-ups first. Carry around a sandbag. Do some, what are those ones that I hate? I can't remember what it's called now. Thomas, what's that one where you jump down, do a push-up? What is it? Burpee? Yeah. Do like 10 or 20 burpees before you draw from your holster and get to the range and start shooting at your target, because you need to train the way you fight. If you get in a real situation, your heart rate's going to be flying, you're going to be sweating, your adrenaline's going to be pumping. You need to train like that. So don't just sit there in a nice air condition and just, let me hit a couple targets. Get that heart rate up. Get sweaty, get dirty, roll around, do some burpees, and then practice, because that is going to help you when the time comes. You're only going to fall back to your level of training in any situation, unless you're just an amazing individual with ice in your veins and you don't need to train. And that's pretty much no one. No one is that. No one is John Wick. Not in real life. No one is Rambo. You need to stay at it. And that includes everything, every type of training. Fire, water, food, shelter, land nav, signaling, all that stuff. Even knife skills, learning how to properly, use a blade. Yeah, exactly, Old Desert Rat. Get your heart rate up. And if you're not very active, you need to start walking at least. Start wearing a backpack when you can, walk a few miles. Make it heavier and heavier as you go. Try to do some hiking in some different areas. In the wintertime, I keep an ice fishing sled to pull my bug out bag, because it's a lot heavier in the winter, because I'm mostly in the Northeast, and this year I'm in northern Vermont. So I have a lot more winter supplemental gear, and there's no way I'm carrying all that stuff on my back. I don't care how far I can walk. I'm not carrying that kind of weight. And I have a lot of other stuff winter related that I'm going to keep in that ice fishing sled and just be able to pull that behind me if I need to. Could still put on the backpack and go a certain distance if I have to, but I'm not going to want to leave other things. You know what I mean? I have a lot of... The winter is a really, really tough time to be carting around gear, because you're going to have... Like my summer bag, it's this one. This is maybe... I still have to weigh it. Actually, Thomas, come grab this bag and put it on the scale, because I've been talking about this on TikTok, that I think it's like 12 or 13 pounds, or maybe it's less, but I added the silky saw and a few other items. Well, actually, take out the full water, because normally this wouldn't be full. So just weigh this. It's over on the table over there. So we're going to weigh my summer bag and see exactly what it does actually weigh. And we'll take like 8 or 10 ounces added on top, but this is full, so I don't want to kind of put that in. Our Arc Storm prepper learned to meet other people with guns. For example, here in Alabama, meet the farmer you accidentally trespass on. It's a life skill. 11 pounds. So the bag is basically just under 12 pounds with, and probably more like 13 if you're keeping the water bottle full everywhere you go. But this pack, I'm pretty sure you can still buy them. This is like, it's got one strap, but it's got a nice hook on the front, so you can wear it like cross shoulder, and I really like it a lot. This one is the No Attack Gear Slinger by Maxpedition. Really high quality material. It's just a really high quality bag. I'm pretty sure they still sell these. I've had this bag for over a decade, and I bought it, I might have actually bought it longer than 10 years ago. It could be older, but I love it. It's a really great bag. And I keep mostly the Boss supplemental kits in here. The only thing that I have beyond that would be a good knife with a nice Scandi grind, which is good for most of the stuff that I do. A really good Silky Outback saw, and we do sell the Silky Outback saw on our website. These Outback versions can actually cut through bone, not just wood. And they cut on the pull, they don't cut on the push, but they cut like butter. They're amazing, really amazing saw. We've done videos and instructional films where we show like 20 stacked logs that are whatever 4 feet long, and everyone says that's with a chainsaw. No way you cut that with a saw. And then they buy one of the Silkies and they cut it and they're like, oh my god, this thing's amazing. Like, I guess you didn't use a chainsaw after all. Anyway, I keep a Cat 7 or Gen 7 cat tourniquet in here. I say it every stream. Please do not buy your tourniquets if they're not genuine cat tourniquets. Don't buy like $5 to $10 tourniquets on Amazon or on eBay or on TikTok Shop. I saw some on TikTok Shop that were like $4. They're garbage. You're going to pay at least $30 to $35 for a legitimate Gen 7 cat. The problem with the knockoffs, they're mostly Chinese-made knockoffs. The windlass is not as good as material, and it will break faster. The stitching is not professionally done, correctly done stitching most of the time, and it's not tested. And sometimes even the nylon is very crappy. You do not want to have to put a tourniquet on if you have an arterial bleed and you have a chance of bleeding out within a few minutes. You don't want to put on a crappy tourniquet that you paid $5 for to have it fail in the field. You just don't want to do it. Never. Here's the things that there's some things you can skimp on sometimes. One thing you should never skimp on, 1 is medical gear. 2 is your knife. Don't skimp on the knife. You want a good quality blade. You want a sharpener. And don't skimp on, let's see, what else would be super critical? Well, definitely don't skimp on your saw. There's other saws besides Silky that are great, but I think Silky is one of the best. So I wouldn't buy anything other than a Silky. Not that there aren't some other brands out there that aren't great. I trust that they are, but every instructor we've ever worked with and every time I've ever used, the Silky it's one of the best. I could take it out and show you guys this Silky. This is the Gomboy Outback. And one of these streams, I'll probably go through this bag as well when I'm in Vermont, and I'll go through a bunch of other things with you guys too. You can get spare blades for these as well. So in my winter bag that's in my truck right now that I carry with me everywhere, I don't have the Outback version. I have the Silky Gomboy, the regular, but I also have 2 extra blades because some of the Silky blades, a lot of them, you can't resharpen the teeth. But they last a really long time. So some of them you can't sharpen, you can't resharpen them. Sometimes you just have to replace the blade. So this is the Silky Gomboy. This is the 240 teeth. This is amazing. It's got a little bit of, see, I lied. I typically said I don't use the gear that's in my actual bug out bags because I want it all to be fresh, but there's a shitload of wood in here. So I use this apparently somewhere in some case. One of these days I'll go through my training bag and you'll be like, oh my God, that stuff looks like crap. Because like all the stainless is charred to hell. One of the saws is missing some teeth. Like there's ferro rods are all beat up, but whatever. Again, I don't want to use my training stuff for my drop dead emergency. I want a saw that is fresh, that I know I can put away a ton of lumber when I need to. So anyway. Oh, you know, the other thing, and I don't sell them, but Graybeard Green Beret, I don't know if he still sells them, the collapsible buck saws. And they're made by a gentleman out of, I don't remember. He might be in like North or South Carolina, but he hand makes these really awesome buck saws. I don't think I have one down here. Thomas, can you look over around the corner and see if I have a buck saw hanging up somewhere? They might be in my garage. I don't know if I have one of them, but they are awesome. Gotta go. Hey, take it easy, old desert rat. Hope to see you on again at some point this week. I should be on every night for at least the next 2 weeks or the next 14 days, and probably all the time. So I have him looking for a buck saw, but I'm pretty sure they might be in my garage. I don't carry one of those in my truck. I do have a much longer silky saw in my non-company truck. Arkstorm Prepper, what kind of food procurement do you carry? So typically in my... We don't have one? All right, that's fine. Typically in my bug out bag, like the one I have in my truck right now, I have SOS emergency rations, the 3,600 calorie bricks. And I have a lot of 25-year shelf life food in my different locations, but I also have 5-gallon food grade buckets with Mylar bags with oxygen packs that are vacuum sealed, sealed at the top with oxygen absorbers. I don't actually vacuum seal those, but I have those with sugar, salt, pasta, rice, all kinds of stuff. I don't think I have honey. I thought I did, but I don't think I have any honey. And some of those I need to go through because, like, salt, gonna last forever. I'm not worried about it, but like some of the rice and some of the pasta stuff will probably last a very long time. But I may have had some of these buckets for close to 20 years, so I probably should check them and just see. Heatherly, your income is not the same as mine, and I have a feeling it's going to take me forever. You know, every time you go to the grocery store, get a few extra canned foods or, you know, like stuff like honey lasts literally forever. Just try to pick up things here and there, you know. You can get bags of rice and bags of pasta pretty cheap. And if you put them in, and you can get 5-gallon food grade buckets and Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers pretty cheap as well. So start packing your own. You don't have to spend a ton of money, you know, on 25-year shelf life food. You can put together your own, and you can do it at a fairly good price. And like I said, if you can go onto our YouTube or you can go on our blogs and you can learn how to make your own 5-year emergency rations. It's not awesome food for you, but it'll keep you alive and keep you with plenty of energy. Those, you know, 3,600 to 4,000 calorie rations, even the ones that at some point I'll make a new video and show you guys how to make them. You can make them pretty cheap with pretty basic ingredients. And even hardtack, it's not very nutritious, but they lived on that crap for months out in the seas back in the day. They survived on it anyway. And that's basically, flour, salt, and water. That's it. That's super cheap. But if you cook it right, it turns harder than a rock, and it doesn't go bad. You could eat it 100 years later. You could eat it 200 years later, especially if you vacuum seal it. They used to have to wrap it in like cloth, and they got a lot of weevils and stuff that got in there, but you can eat those, so they ate them anyway. But, I mean, nowadays, it's pretty... Heatherly, not the food. Oh, you mean like the Faraday bags? So, all right, here's the thing. The really good Faraday bags, they're awesome, but the EMP bags are still good to protect from an EMP, and they're way, way cheaper. Like the 5-pack we sell of the NX3 Faraday bags are like $230 for the 5-pack. But you could go on Faraday Defense and get a 5 or 10 or 15 or a 20-pack of these for like $50 to $100, depending on what size. They're way cheaper. But again, don't use Mylar. Don't use anti-static. They are not made the same. No matter what anyone tells you, they don't know what they're talking about. They're just talking smack, which they do online all the time. So that's my stance. Get the cheaper EMP bags from Faraday Defense, and you're going to save a ton of money. But I'll tell you what, if let's say you can't even afford those, use like a bunch of layers of tinfoil. You can protect electronics by making your own EMP cages, your own EMP bags. You can even buy just the material from Faraday Defense, and you can make your own, you know, boxes and things like that. You could even use a metal trash can, but with a metal trash can, you're going to want to put something so your electronics are not touching the metal inside. There's a lot of ways to do. Oh, sorry. Heather Lee says, I'm sorry. Let me clarify the bug out bags. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it might take a little more time to put them together. Like, yes, my main bug out bag is probably $1,200 worth of stuff, at least. But my supplemental bag, maybe, well, not including the knife and like the tourniquet, less than $300. Less than $5 for everything. Probably less than $4. I'd have to really go through it and see for sure. But I mean, if you're looking for a beginner bug out bag with stuff that'll still keep you alive, you can get a lot of stuff at Walmart. I might still do a stream where I go through a dollar store on stream if they let me do it without kicking me out of the store and show you guys, like, you know, a shower curtain for a temporary tarp. It's not going to last long, but it's going to help you in a pinch. You can get candles, matches. There's a lot of stuff you can find in a dollar store. You got to think of the categories. So if you signed up on my email list and you have that bug out bag checklist, take that checklist to the dollar store. Look for everything in the fire category and see what you can get from the dollar store or Walmart. Then go through shelter and see what you can find. Then go through, like fishing and hunting and see what you can find. It's very cheap. Just go through all that stuff. Go through land nav, go through signaling. There's so much stuff you can find. And again, if you can't get top of the line gear right out of the gate, even lower quality gear is going to be better than nothing. Just always keep that in mind. There's always a better way to skin a cat. It's kind of a terrible saying if you like cats, but more of a dog guy. But we also do have cats. So, and my cats are pretty awesome. So, not quite as awesome as my dog though. So I still kind of feel bad that one woman that came from Facebook said she really wants to listen, but she's hard of hearing. I have to figure out, Thomas, can you look up how to do closed captioning on Streamlabs OBS? Because there has to be a widget where I can do that. So that way, as long as I'm not speaking like a fool and, screwing up my words, people can read what I'm saying as well. There has to be a widget where I can do this. So that way people who are hard of hearing can still hear. Because on our website is accessible, has accessibility software. So if you go on our website, you just look for that little blue wheelchair and you click it. And there's a lot of different disabilities that, like colorblind versus ADHD, a lot of different stuff. But our website is accessible. And so are our PDFs. That free bug out bag checklist is accessible. We made that accessible through software. And so is the pace planning one. So we try to do that to make it easier. And a lot of the clips that we put on social media, or we already have the captions built in. So I just think I need to figure out how to do closed captions on the stream, and then it's a win-win for everybody, I think. Because there's a lot of people that they might not be deaf, but they might just not be able to hear that well, and maybe they don't hear me that well on their device. So why not have words going underneath too, where they can read what I'm saying? Can't hurt. I'm willing to do it. I mean, we do it on the videos we post. Why not do it on a live stream? And hopefully, a lot of you people that are in here now will come back and hang out every once in a while. Obviously, I don't expect people to be on here every day, but, let's see. Oh, Arcstorm Prepper, you carry chow. I mean like snares. So I have some old school snare wire in my main winter kit. I also have some of the Thompson snares. I think the Thompson snares, I don't think that company exists anymore, but I believe they sold that design to a different company, and man, I can't remember who they are. I can't remember what the name of the company is. But I think the Thompson snares are one of the good ones. But there's a lot of good snares out there. And I also keep the Conibear traps. I showed them on stream a while back. I have a whole box of Conibear traps. The ones I have are more for small game. I need to get some bigger ones for beaver. The ones I have aren't quite big enough for beaver. But they're good enough, basically for, squirrels, rabbits, things like that. But I do have some snares in my kit, and I do keep snare wire in my kit as well. And I have a fishing and hunting boss kit that I also keep. That one's typically in the summer. I don't think I have one of those in my winter setup. I might, but I don't think I do. But that boss fishing and hunting kit has a ton of stuff. Fishing line, lures. It even has like some of that little stinky bait. It's got plenty of hooks. It's got a lot. It even has a slingshot with some ball bearings in there. That fishing and hunting kit, it's only like $30 or $32, and it is packed full of stuff. Same as the fire kit. Arcstorm Prepper, okay, I see your reply on Facebook for email. Wait, hold on. On Facebook for email. Meantime, that is me. Link sent. We'll follow up. Tommy, did you send somebody something on Facebook? Did you send somebody a message on Facebook? Oh, maybe I'm just confused. Okay, I see your reply message on Facebook. Or maybe I did. Now I'm really confused. I don't want to go look on Facebook because I don't want to, like, Tommy, the last time I went on to look at the lives, like all the audio from the lives came, and I was like triple feed from 3 different streaming platforms, so I had to turn it all down. I had to turn it all off, and I muted desktop audio as well. Oh, I know what you're talking about. So if you message me on Facebook, I have a general message that comes back in like an auto message. That's probably what Arcstorm Prepper's talking about. The auto message basically says we don't check all our social media messaging. Please email whatever the email I put. I forgot that message was on there, but I think that's what you were talking about. Sorry about that. Arcstorm Prepper, a rat trap and peanut butter for the squirrels is one thing my books teach. Yeah, I mean, trapping and foraging are 2 things that everybody really needs to learn. You really need to learn how to trap. And I think if you learn how to trap beaver, it's really good in the wintertime because they have so much fat on them. And if you just easily look up a YouTube video on how to render fat in either a bush pot or in a stainless, the single wall stainless steel pot or the cup, rendered fat gives you a ton of calories. It's one of the best ways on staying alive in the middle of the winter is rendered fat. It just is one of the best ways. And then learn how to smoke meat. We have a blog that teaches you how to smoke meat, how to cut it, how to get the fat off, how to set it up, how long to smoke it. So that way, because that's what they used to do. I mean, they didn't have refrigerators back in the day. They'd have to cut up the meat. Sometimes maybe they pack it in salt. Sometimes they build like a little underground cellar. But a lot of the times, they're making jerky with a lot of the extra meat. Just the way to keep it going for a lot longer. Arcstorm Prepper, I sent a DM. All right, I will check those. I won't be able to check them right now, but I'll definitely check them. Probably check those tonight. Let's see. All right, what do we got for viewers on different platforms, Thomas? I'm just curious. What? Twitter has 28? Oh my goodness. How is X our biggest platform on here? So 28 on X, Twitter, 7 I think he said on YouTube, and like 3 on Facebook. So somehow X is like the X factor, because I think I only have 1,400 followers on X. But right now it's the biggest platform for this live stream. That's pretty awesome. That makes me want to do Instagram now, because we only have like 9,400 on Instagram. But maybe we'll get a lot of people from Instagram too because I can simulcast on all 4. So I might have to do Instagram tomorrow. But hey, thank you, all of you on X. I appreciate you, and it's pretty awesome that you're here. 28 of you, huh? I think the only guy from X that's been commenting is Arcstorm Prepper. The rest of you, throw in your names. Tell me where you're from. The rest of the people that are watching on X, hopefully you're not bots. Hopefully you're actually real people. I'd hate it if you were bots. That would be super annoying. Turns out you're not even real. You're just a bunch of bots hanging out on X. Tell us your name. Tell us where you're from. Oh, and one other thing. If people on stream ever want to donate, like through a super chat or whatever, you don't have to. But if you do, we're going to take pretty much most of that money and we're going to do some cool giveaways. We're going to do a lot of good stuff with it. I'm just not going to take the money and be like, thanks for all your money. We're going to try to put together some cool stuff for you guys as well, just to try to give back to the community. If we can build a really big community and do a lot of cool stuff, that's what we're going to do. So if you want to put in some super chats or you want to become, especially on YouTube, if you want to become like a paid member, I don't even remember how much it is, like $5 or something a month. You could do that as well. But again, you don't have to, because we don't have enough people on the stream for me not to see everyone's comments. So you don't have to do a super chat for me to read it. If I see your comment and it doesn't scroll by in time, too fast, I'm going to go through it and I'm going to say hello. So you don't need to worry about actually having to pay for any of that stuff. You don't ever have to do that. But again, if we have hundreds or thousands of people at some point down the road, whether it's a year or 2 years, you may have to do super chats because that's the only thing that pins the comments. So I see them and they have a time limit. So that would be the only time I'd say it could be worth a super chat if you really don't want me to miss your comment. But right now, not enough viewers. There's 38 people on here altogether from all the different platforms, which is still less than what we typically get on TikTok by itself. But we're building on this. We're going to take this 38 people as our foundation and we're going to build up. And again, I'm still going to stream on TikTok maybe for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes before I come on the mainstream here, just because it's such a big audience there. And I've been seeing the same people on there, for weeks. So I don't want to just completely ditch them. Ron Foster from Alabama is Arcstorm Prepper. Make sure you guys check him out on X. I haven't yet because I'm afraid to open X again and get all the cross-feed crap going on. So I'm not going to do that until later. But when I'm in Vermont, I'll probably open up some of the social media on an iPad so I don't have to worry about it, conflicting with the stream. But man, I love the Streamlabs OBS. I did pay, it's like $27 a month for the Ultra version so I could do all this stuff, better than the free option, and it is definitely worth it. I love this multi-stream chat that I could see which platform you're chatting from. It's really great. And I'm still perplexed that we have 28 people from X on here. That's amazing. Just shows you. They thought they were going to kill X. They thought they were going to get rid of that platform, and Elon's like, I don't think so. And now they're bringing it back. Marjorie Mahuda, my Aunt Marjorie, actually, his family, is saying good night. Good night. Hopefully we'll see you again on here at some point. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. If not, don't tell me. Just pretend that you loved it. All right, so no one else on X wants to say where they're from. You can just say a state. Like, I don't want to know where you live. Definitely don't tell people online where you live exactly, because that'd be creepy. You'd get some stalkers. I just want to know what state you're from, or really anything. Just let me know you're in here so we can say hello. Or you can stay hidden. That's fine, too. You might not want people to know who you are, which is perfectly fine. All right, anybody have any questions? Anything you want to go over? I might jump off soon. I think we've been on for about 2 hours and 10 minutes or something like that. Oh, well, that's a good point. So Marjorie Mahuda says, if I mute you on my Facebook, it automatically generates your words in text. Huh. I didn't know that. I don't think YouTube does that. But that's good to know, because that other woman was on Facebook, and she was talking about Facebook. So if she's still here and you can see that, hopefully she saw that and she tries to mute it and she can see the words, because that'd be cool. But I'm still, hey, moderator, have you looked up if I can get closed captioning on Streamlabs OBS? Third party. So I basically have to add it to Streamlabs. We'll maybe take a look at that tomorrow, and we'll try to see if we can add some third party thing into Streamlabs OBS to see if we can do the text down below. I just got to try to set it up right so that I'm not like covering gear or other stuff that maybe I want to talk about. How we doing on viewers? Just curious. Which different platforms? How many? You said 30 on Twitter? Wow, 30 on Twitter. Hey, wait a minute. That means my aunt is literally the only person on Facebook right now. How is a 136,000 person channel on Facebook, and I only have one person and it's a family member? And on X, I only have like 1,400 followers, and there's 30 people from X on here, and only like 7 for YouTube. I guess I really don't post on YouTube that much anymore, so. Or maybe people are like, who is this hillbilly wearing the cowboy hat with the big white beard? Why do I want to listen to this guy? That's also possible, and I would totally understand if that's what you're thinking. It's fine. Don't worry about it. My wife probably thinks the same thing. Why does he look like a hillbilly? Why doesn't he just shave that stupid beard? Well, I'll tell you what. Never going to happen. If you ever see this beard gone, it's probably because somehow it caught fire. That's the only way I'm getting rid of it. Or maybe if I had to, do some kind of dirty deed and I want people to recognize me. That'd be the only way I'm getting rid of it. So hopefully I'll have it forever. Or until I die. All right. Well, I'm going to stay on for a couple more minutes just to see if anybody has any questions about any of the stuff we talked about, any of the gear, or any of the specific connectors that I use between, cell phone and USB. And Thomas, do you know if I can, is this being recorded on Streamlabs OBS? Am I able to post this on Facebook after the fact? Oh, I had to click the record button? I don't even see a record button. Oh, shoot. I didn't hit record, so no, none of this is recorded. But it's not like saved on YouTube or saved on Facebook? I'll have to look after. If anybody in the chat knows that if any of this gets saved on either Twitter or YouTube or Facebook, because apparently, and I'm looking at it, all I had to do was hit the record button and then I could have reposted this whole live. I think this guy's screen name is short for mineral water. $20 for mineral water. Wait a minute. Does that mean he just donated $20 for mineral water? Wow. You didn't have to do that, but that is awesome. Mineral water. Mineral water with the very first donation. I think, you sure that's a donation? The first donation this stream has ever gotten. That's pretty amazing. Thank you very much, Mineral Water. You found us here on YouTube? Awesome. This is our very first stream on YouTube. We were streaming on TikTok for the last couple weeks every single night at around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and now we're going to be doing it here. But this is a simulcast, so I'm streaming here and on Facebook and on X. And I think tomorrow I'm even going to add in Instagram as well. But man, that's awesome. Mineral water with the $20 for mineral water. I never actually thought we'd ever get any donations on here, and it doesn't really matter if we did or we don't, but that's awesome. It's the first super chat ever for mineral water. Really, really awesome. Thank you very much. Not even with a small super chat editor. He came in with both barrels. He's like, boom, 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 $20. Here you go. That is pretty awesome. I really appreciate that, mineral water. That's great. Wheeling, anyone with an issue towards hillbillies can kiss my ass. Thank you very much. I would sincerely hope I am not the only one in here. And if you don't like hillbillies, why are you even in this stream? You really shouldn't be here. I mean, unless you really want to learn about survival. But Nightwolf, hi from Scotland. Oh man, I really want to get to Scotland at some point because believe it or not, this hillbilly golfs. I'm terrible at it, but I love golfing. And I just bought all new clubs this past season, but I'm in the Northeast, so I can't do anything in the winter. So I definitely want to check it out because I'm pretty sure Scotland is where golf started. But I don't know, man. Some of the courses you guys have out there, the wind is insane. Like you watch some of those tournaments in Scotland, and it's crazy. I'm bad enough. I don't need to be golfing in areas that would just make me even worse. Oh, man. I'm probably going to stay on a little bit longer. I like talking to you guys. I like going through, back and forth and kind of getting to know people. And it's pretty nice. Because these streams are definitely not always going to be me showing you guys gear. I mean, like tonight I showed you a ton of gear, and most of it I don't even sell. But it's stuff that I really think is good stuff. And again, if you want that list, go to the link in my bio on any of the social media. And go to sign up for our email list. And don't worry, I'm not going to send you a bunch of stupid spam email. The holidays are over, and I barely sent very many sales emails anyway. Most of the time, if you get an email, it's either an update or it's a blog, and occasionally it's a sale. But if you go sign up and wait until after you input, you can get the free PDF checklist that is our entire recommended bug out bag gear list checklist. And you can also get a full PDF on pace planning that I put together as well. It's a basic pace plan. It's not like super comprehensive, but it's like 4 pages long. And again, if you do that and you sign up for the email and you get those free PDFs, here's the trick. If you don't want to be on the email list, don't ever confirm the email. Most of the time, every time you have to confirm. You'll get an email that says, do you confirm you want to be on our email list? And sometimes those go to the spam folders. So if you do want to be on the list and you can't get on the list because it went to your spam, check your spam folder and then confirm. But again, if you want the free PDFs, but you don't actually want to be on the list, that's the loophole. Don't respond to the confirmation email and you'll never be on the list. But you still get the free PDF, so it's a win-win. I'm not going to make it so you have to join the list to get the PDFs. I mean, because you could just go on and then you could just unsubscribe when you get the very first email. I know how it is. I get massive amounts of stupid spam emails. So, not that we're going to send you spam, but you start getting emails, from 40 different companies. Even if you signed up for them, eventually that adds up and it gets old. It gets old real fast. So I'll be here for a little while. If you guys want to ask any questions about, the survival manuals on USB, maybe what kind of connector works better for your cell phone or your iPad. For the iPhone, again, it's the Lightning port for the iPhone 14 or lower to the female USB. And just plug it in your phone, plug the USB in it. You can watch instructional films on USB, or you can get USBs with literally thousands of survival manuals on them. Moderate a lot through another super chat for a Ron Foster author link of Want To Just Starting. I got to read that again. Hold on. I'm a little bit confused about exactly what you meant there. Moderate a lot. I threw another super chat for a Ron Foster author link of... Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what you meant. Just sharing. Hey, no, we appreciate it. We really do. I really appreciate it a lot. Like I said, the more super chats we get over the long term, we're going to start giving stuff away. We're going to start doing some giveaways. Start giving you guys some free gear. So, and I also get a lot of stuff sometimes for free from different vendors or different companies that want me to check stuff out. And I already have a lot of gear, so I typically don't keep that. It kind of goes in a box. So there's always stuff I can give away. Or let's say I had to open a bag of Faraday bags or something, and I might have a couple extra kicking around that I'm not even using, and I could give stuff like that away. I just need to figure out how to do it fairly and how to do a system where I can choose, which I think I can do through Streamlabs. I think I can have Streamlabs actually pick a winner through the chat. So if I said, hey, we're going to give something away, everybody put, the number 55 in the chat. I'm pretty sure I can have Streamlabs then randomly pick the winner from the people who did type 55 in the chat. But I have to look into that because this is Streamlabs OBS is pretty new. I was using TikTok Studio to do all my streaming before. And YouTube, man, we used to make a fair amount of money every month. Not a lot, but a decent amount for our YouTube videos based on all the ads and stuff. But man, that just never... somehow the YouTube algorithm really went down a lot because we're barely making a quarter of what we made before. And I talked to some other guys in the industry. It's the same thing for them. They changed the algorithm, and they did it kind of sneaky because when YouTube added shorts, they pay a very, very small amount of money for shorts compared to long videos. And it seems like their algorithm is pushing shorts more than long videos. So they're paying out way less money to creators on YouTube than they were before. But they're still getting more viewership through the shorts. So it's kind of a sneaky way of... They're still putting out as many ads on the shorts, too. That's the tricky part. But they're just keeping most of the money, I think. Hopefully I don't get in trouble on YouTube for saying that. That's just my guess. I'm not saying that for sure. But that's the way it seems. Heather Lee going to turn in. Good night, all. Good night, Heather Lee. Hopefully we'll see you on tomorrow. I should be on at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Assuming I get back to Northern Vermont in time, it should be fine. I think I plan on leaving at about noon or 1 o'clock at the latest. So I should be there by 6, and I should have plenty of time to get on stream for 7. Because I don't have that much stuff to set up anymore. I mean, I have a pretty good system now of the stuff that I need, and I'm going to try to pack it all in less cases so I have less gear to bring in and unpack when I do get there. All right, how we doing on viewership on different channels? I'm just curious, Mr. Moderator. Twitter is 36. 36 on Twitter. Wow.
8, Facebook's 3.
Facebook's 3 and YouTube is 8. I'm still really shocked. 36 on X. I wasn't even going to stream on X in the simulcast because I figured the channel's too small, but I'm really glad that I did. And again, thank you everyone coming from X. I really appreciate it. And YouTube. I've never streamed on any of these platforms before. So it's great to have people come into these platforms, especially if you didn't come from our TikTok live stream and you just came here from YouTube or specifically X, bringing in the numbers. I really like it a lot. It's awesome. So tomorrow I'm probably going to look up how to do the giveaways or how to do the random pick through the chat, which I don't think should be that difficult. And we'll probably also stream tomorrow on Instagram as well. Our Instagram is, probably about 7 or 8 times bigger than our Twitter. So maybe, I don't know, maybe Instagram will have a good amount of followers coming through there. I'm glad I did the simulcast to get viewers from all these different platforms. It's been great. And over time, I'll figure out how to get Streamlabs OBS to be even better with different features and different cool things that we can interact with and do on here. It should be good. There's a lot of widgets and things like that on Streamlabs OBS, so should be good. Still no one from X has put their name in the comments and let me know they're here. I'm just curious who all these people on X are. I'm really happy that you're here. Join the conversation. Let's talk about stuff. Ask me some questions. If you missed the beginning of the stream and you want to go over whether it's, EMP bags or Faraday bags or solar panels or satellite phones or GPS or, the emergency crank radio or any of that stuff. You guys want to see something again, mineral water, sorry, got screen froze, had to reboot. Oh, that's the worst when you get the screen freeze and have to reboot. That's happened to me before. Luckily, I have a new gaming laptop that I've been doing this stream on. The Night Wolf, what's a good oil to maintain my SE5 knife? Love the beard. Thank you very much. I also love the beard. So there's a lot of different types of oils you can use, but if you're just trying to maintain it, but it depends on what you use it for. Because a lot of the times you could use like olive oil. If you use something food grade, you just have to oil it a little bit more often, but that's going to help you if you're cutting up meat or if you're using it for food or whatever. It's going to make it so you don't have to wash it before you do that. So you could use something basic like olive oil, but I would do a lot of research. Just check YouTube and see, because you might want to put a better oil on it if you're going to store it long term, like in your bug out bag. There's a lot of different ways that'll keep it a lot more fresh. And there's a lot of good products that are out there. So I just do some research and see what the community thinks, based on their experience, what some of the better oils are. But most of the time, I just oil mine with food grade oil. I never had an issue. Put a little bit of olive oil on there and it's fine. Then I don't have to worry about if I got to cut up some meat or if I got to, anything I need to do with food preparation, with my, I typically have the Mora Garberg. I love the Mora Garberg Carbon Black. It's really amazing. But in the summer kit, I still love that Perseverance survival knife that's made by Tops. They also make the Brothers of Bushcraft knives. But man, nowadays, 20 years ago when I first got into this stuff, there wasn't nearly as many really good knife brands that there are now. There's so many different companies out there. Like Essie makes amazing knives, but there's a ton of companies that make a lot of good knives. And if you're looking for a good knife, there's a ton of dudes on YouTube that torture test all different brands. And they go through, you really need to know, what kind of grind does it have? Like, if you're doing more bushcraft and stuff, you might want, the Scandi grind. There's a lot of different grinds that you want for a lot of different knives. There's a lot to learn when it comes to blades. You wouldn't think so if you're brand new to it, but there really is. I'll keep a regular sharpener. I'll keep a puck sharpener for my axe. I usually use the Holtzbruck axes. I love them. I have more of a hatchet on my winter setup. And then I'll keep another sharpener. I don't use oil typically with my sharpeners. I usually use water to keep them wet, but you can use oil as well. But then I have a leather strop. If you don't have a leather strop to get that last final tune, to get all the little burrs off and get it cleaned up nice and super sharp, you need to get a leather strop. They're pretty amazing. They make this special stuff. It almost looks like chalk. You put it on the leather and it's really good. It's really, really, a leather strop really should be part of your sharpening system. And again, there's a ton of guys on YouTube that teach you how to properly sharpen an axe versus a knife. There's a lot of different things you need to learn, like with the angles. A lot of the Lansky systems are really good for sharpeners. Training. It's all about training. Gear's awesome. But don't go out and spend $1,000 on gear and then don't ever use it to train. Just don't do that. You don't want to be in a bad situation where something needs to save your life. And yeah, you have $1,000 or $2,000 worth of awesome gear, but you suck at using it. And even if you're okay at using it in normal conditions, maybe you suck at using it in the rain or in the snow. Some guys don't even know how to make a good, a good bird's nest or a good tinder pile. They don't even know which trees are the good ones to get that material from. And a lot of people think in the winter you can't find any of that stuff. But in the winter, sometimes, or not sometimes, but in the winter, especially in the Northeast, there's so many trees where you can get really good tinder and a lot of dead standing and a lot of branches. You can get a ton of firewood and a ton of tinder, even in the winter with 3 feet of snow on the ground. All that stuff's above ground. You don't need to worry too much about it if you have the skills and you have the training and you spend a lot of time. And again, don't have the money for live training? Get the online training. We sell a crap load of online training on our website. And so do a lot of other companies. My buddy EJ Snyder from Naked and Afraid is involved now with a company that he has some ownership in called Survival Mastery. They're basically like the Warrior Poet Society version in the survival industry. Warrior Poet Society is kind of like the tactical version of Netflix. And their system is cheap. I think it's like $10 a month, and they have tons of videos on the back end of their system. Survival Mastery, they do it a little different. I think they do it at different levels per month, but you pay annually. I think it's $15 a month, $20, and something else based on devices and how many people can log in at the same time. But they do it annually. I don't think they've switched to a monthly yet, but they have films with, Sean Kelly from Corporal's Corner, who's an amazing instructor. They have, I think 3 or 4 different films they've put out so far, and they have 2 or 3 that they're getting ready to release. One of them is like how to build a bunker. So it's survivalmastery.co, not .com. Don't go to .com. Survivalmastery.co. They're doing big things, and I think they're even getting some investors interested, so they can even push out a lot more content. If things go good for them, they could end up being the Netflix of survival. Maybe they don't. I don't know. But they're definitely worth checking out. They have a lot of good content. But again, every time you watch online training, you can watch it all the way through, but watch a chapter or watch a section of a chapter that teaches some stuff, and then go out and practice. And practice it as often as you can in your own backyard. You don't have to go out into the wilderness to practice a lot of stuff. You can practice this stuff right at home. So get proficient at training as you go through the training videos. And if you go through if you went through all of Survival Summit's content and you actually went out and practiced and trained, you'd have a ton of skill. Yes, live training is definitely better. You're going to learn more quickly, and it's going to be better overall. But some people are really good at getting a lot of information from online and then going out and training themselves. So you don't have to spend $1 million on live training, because you may pay between $400 to $800 plus, for a course on regular wilderness survival. Then you might pay another $800 for, a really good 4-day land nav course. You may pay the same for a winter survival course, where you may pay $20 or $30 for the online version of one of those courses. So start off with the online and then try to practice. And if you really think if you have the money or you want to save up for the live training, you can do that after. You'll save a lot of money in the short term for sure. Still no one from X wants to come on and say hi. Come on, X. Jump in the comments. Tell me what's going on. Tell me where you're from. That's all right. There's like 30-something really shy people on X that just don't want to join the chat. That's okay. Most of the chat has been almost all YouTube, which is crazy because there's only like 7 or 8 people from YouTube even on here, but you guys are doing most of the chatting. I love it. My saying often quoted for is prepare to lose everything but your mind. You don't need gear, you need knowledge. Absolutely. Gear is awesome. Gear will save you a lot of time, but knowledge is where it's at. if you can get to the level where you can survive with nothing but a knife, even if you don't have it, if you can learn how to make a knife out of flint rock, if you learn flint knapping and you can make your own, you know, learn how to make a really good glue out of charcoal ash and pine sap, learn how to put together a handle, learn how to do a little bit of flint knap, and you can make your own blade. And if you have a decent blade, you can make almost anything. You know, again, you can use birch bark and you can make a bowl out of birch bark. And if it's filled with water, you could put it directly in the red hot coals of a fire and boil water in the birch without the birch bark burning. Native Americans did that. They didn't have stainless steel. They basically made things in bowls, and you could boil water in everything. A paper cup. I've even seen someone do it in a plastic bag, as long as it's filled with water. So as an example, if you fill a paper cup only halfway with water, and you put that in the hottest part of the coals of the fire, the only part of that paper cup that will burn is the part that doesn't have water. It'll burn right down to the water level, and then it'll be fine. So keep that in mind. You can do the same thing with a plastic bottle. If the plastic bottle is filled with water, you can boil water. I probably wouldn't because plastic's got a lot of nasty shit, but if you're trying to survive, who cares about a little bit of plastic stuff? If you rather die, I don't think so. So you can boil water in plastic, and everybody's like, where am I going to find that? All right. Have you not been around? A lot of desolate places have a ton, especially by the oceans. There's so much litter and trash that's washing up on shores. You can find bottles almost anywhere. You could even dig up and find old glass bottles. Be careful if you're boiling water in a glass bottle, because if you're doing it wrong, that bottle could explode. But it can be done. I think E.J. Snyder had put a video out where he boiled water in a glass bottle, and everybody's like, "Ooh, you taught us how to boil water," but a little more to that, without getting the bottle to explode. So he had a little bit of unfair criticism, I think, in that video, but whatever. People online just, it's cool if people want to criticize if you say something stupid or you do something that maybe it doesn't make a lot of sense. But if it's kind of annoying when people that don't really understand and then they make those comments. But whatever. It's the internet. You're going to get a lot of the good and a lot of the bad on the internet. It's just the way it is. Still surprised X is so strong tonight. That's crazy. Very first stream, and X is like the #1 platform for us. Never in a million years. If somebody would have bet me money, I would have said, no way, no chance. It's the smallest platform we have. There's no way there's going to be a lot of people on here from X, but I was wrong, which happens often. I can be wrong a lot. So yeah, again, if you guys want to check out our website, just go to the link in our bio on any of our social media platforms. It's basically like a link tree. And you'll notice I do have 2 or 3 products on the top of that link tree that are links to Amazon to our friends at Practical Survival. One of them is the water straws. One of them is the hand crank radio. And I think the other one is a different company, but it's a company that sells the potassium iodide pills. They sell them on Amazon and they sell them on TikTok Shop. And it's a good company. And potassium iodide pills, KI pills they call them, are essentially, if you don't know what they are, they're for radiation. If there's some fallout coming towards you, if something crazy happened and there was a nuke that went off or a dirty bomb somewhere, you're going to want to take them under the direction of a doctor, of course. But they're typically for people under 40 that need that thyroid protection. And so it's mostly for kids and people under 40. I think you could ask your doctor, of course, but if you're 40 or over, I don't even think you would need to take them. I think it would be unnecessary from everything that I've read. So there is a link in the bio for potassium iodide pills. And I believe you can buy a single bottle or like 5 bottles. And in some states, though, you can get them for free. If you live anywhere within a certain range of a nuclear power plant, they actually give away the KI, the potassium iodide pills. You can get the packages for free. I think the ones they give away are from Anbex.com. They're made in the USA. Pretty sure that's where a lot of these places get them, but you can get them for free in some places. Mineral Water says no birch bark in the South. So in the South, there is definitely different trees than we would have up here in the Northeast. I'm not as familiar with the trees in the South, but I would bet my life that there are trees in the South that you could probably still make bowls and still boil water in certain materials depending on the tree. I mean, some guys, you can even eat the inner bark called the cambia. I made a video about that once. And somebody on TikTok stream reminded me that Adirondack means bark eater. That's what the Native Americans called the pioneers, bark eaters, because they were making fun of them because they're basically eating bark. They're not eating bark, they're eating the cambia, which is the inner layer. After you get through the bark and everything, you get to the cambia. You can actually cook that. My son and I made a video where we peeled it and then we cooked it in a pan and we ate it. So you can survive on cambia from a tree. You got to make sure you use the right tree, of course. But my Mineral Water says, my favorite people most likely to survive are the two 14-year-olds with a BB gun or a pellet gun walking a cow pasture daily. They are attuned. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have like a 22, like a Henry, breakdown survival rifle or a really good 22, there are some really high-powered, BB and pellet guns that are pretty accurate, really accurate. You can get a lot of small game with those and without attracting a lot of attention to yourself as you would with a 22. The problem with kids nowadays is a lot of them don't ever go outside. They don't go in the woods. They're all on computer games or video games, and they're not spending time in nature. They're not learning any of the stuff that you should learn. Because if we lost the grid or there was like something with World War III, most people would be gone. They don't know how to survive without, basic electronics, and they don't know how to grow their own food. They're not prepared. A lot of people, they don't have supplies. It would be pretty crazy. They said that if the grid went down, you'd probably lose 90% of the population in the first year, maybe even shorter than that. You'd lose most people to starvation, diseases, all kinds of stuff, because none of your services would work anymore. You're not going to get water to your house unless you're on a well, and if you have a hand pump, you're not going to have sewer, unless you're on septic, but eventually you're going to have to pump that septic out. There's going to be no food, no medicine, nothing delivered to grocery stores. I mean, look at what happens in the cities when they lose power for more than 24 hours. People are already rioting, burning stuff, and things just become absolute chaos. Even in California right now. I mean, there have people trying to loot all these places, people's houses that burn down, and they have the National Guard trying to block the area so the looters can't get in there and try to pick up anything remaining that people left. It's crazy. The world is a crazy place, and if you want to read a really good book about history and about the history of crazy things that have happened and starvation, look up the book Survival Theory 2 by Jonathan Hollerman. He starred in our film Survival Bug Out back in 2015 or 2016, whichever year it was. You can get his Survival Theory 1 on Amazon and Survival Theory 2, which I think came out less than a year ago. And it's a little depressing of a read because you go through some stuff in history that he talks about that you're like, oh my God, and a lot of that stuff can happen. People just never think that anything bad's going to happen. But think back to all the natural disasters. I mean, Hurricane Katrina, Sandy, the wildfires right now still happening in Southern California in the LA County. So everything in North Carolina with the flooding, people still living in tents. It's cold there now. Just don't ever get in that mindset that nothing bad can ever happen. Because a lot of people look at preppers and people who are into preparedness and they think, they're preparing for something that will never happen. That might be the case. But all those preparations are covering their basic human core needs: shelter, fire, water, food. Then you get into land nav, signaling, tools, medical, trauma gear versus first aid gear. And we can go over, probably when I get back to Vermont, we'll go over my trauma kit, go through tourniquets, Israeli pressure dressings, combat gauze, S-rolled gauze, CPR stuff. There's a ton of stuff that we can go through in a lot of different kits that I have. Moleskin, like if you're doing a lot of hiking, you're doing a lot of moving, you may get blisters on your feet. If you don't put something like moleskin on them right away, you could end up with some serious problems with your feet. So little things like having moleskin in your bug out bag is very, very important. It's a lot of stuff like that. Mineral Water says, great you mentioned that. On potassium, most folks don't mention age, but no, kale helps with radiation poisoning. That I didn't know. Kale's kind of gross, but if kale is something that helps, I highly encourage everyone to get into, medicinal plants and learning foraging, and definitely get the app on your phone called Picture This. It's the one I mentioned earlier in the stream. You can take a picture of a tree, a bush, a plant, berries, whatever it is, and the app will scan it and it'll tell you exactly what that plant or what that tree or that flower is, whether or not it's edible. Sometimes it'll tell you which different uses it has. It's like $20 for the year to keep that app. That Picture This app is amazing. I love it. I've had it for years. Repeating one of my writing book sponsors. Man, there's a ton of good books out there. One of the most recent ones that I got was, I think it's Newcomb's Wildflower Guide is a really good book. And then there's another book by Nicole Appelian. She's a doctor, and she does a lot of like tinctures, and she goes through a lot of medicinal stuff when it comes to foraging and all that kind of stuff. And I can almost see the book from where I'm sitting, but I'm trying to remember the name of it. I don't remember the name of the book, but at some point I'll go through all those books on stream with you guys and kind of show you everything. Oh, before I forget, I might have mentioned it in the beginning, but E.J. Snyder and I collaborated and wrote a book together called Emergency Home Preparedness. You can find it on YouTube. If you use the link in my bio, I'll get a very small commission from Amazon. And we also get when you go through a book publisher, most people don't know this, but the commissions from the book publishers are very small. They range from 6 to 10%. Average is like 8. So the publishers make a ton of money. And the people who actually write the book don't really make that much. You'd have to sell a ton of books to really make money. But my son just found out that there's a feature on Amazon. What's it called again, Thomas? Amazon KDP, where you can basically upload a book, make your own cover, and you can sell the Kindle version or you can sell the soft copy, even a hardcover, set your own price point, and it'll go up live on Amazon, and you'll make, I think, at least 40% on that book, and they take the rest, which is light years above what you're going to make with a publisher. Some publishers really don't do a lot of advertising. So yeah, you're probably going to have to push a lot of advertising for a book you put out there, on your social media channels, or you're going to have to actually pay for advertising. But if you can make 40%, and those books are printed on demand, you don't have to pay for them up front. If somebody buys one, Amazon prints it on demand and ships it out, or they buy the Kindle. And you can put them up in like less than a few hours, and it only takes like 72 hours for them to approve the book. My son wrote a really good book on faith and Christianity. It's not out yet, but we think it's going to be out maybe Monday or Tuesday, so I'll definitely mention it on stream. And once that book comes out, it's really a book for teenagers trying to discover God. So I'll put that book as a link in my bio when it does come out, and I'll let you guys know when it does come out. It's short. It's like 100 pages. I think it's only like 20,000 words. So I think it's priced pretty cheaply, like $6 or $7 as Kindle and maybe $12 as paperback. And then it's enough range where we can put it on sale. But it is a lot of really good stuff in the book. But the other book that is Emergency Home Preparedness. That one's longer. It's definitely longer. And there's a lot of information on there. It's based on our film, Ultimate Bugging in Home Defense, that we did we produced it. EJ starred in the film. And it goes over a lot of stuff about specifically bugging in. Everything from the 5 Ds of home security all the way through, fire, water, food, shelter, all the things you should prep for your home. There's a ton of information in the book, and there's even a lot more information in the film. So definitely check those out. Oh, before I forget, I gave TikTok live stream a 50% off code for our film, Ultimate Bugging in Home Defense, which we put out 2 years ago. I will put that coupon code in the chat. It's TSS Buggin. So if you put TSS Buggin, the coupon code. Wait, I just put it in the chat and I don't see it. Oh, there it is. A little bit of a delay. If you use the coupon code TSS Buggin on our website, thesurvivalsummit.com, and look up Ultimate Buggin in Home Defense, you get 50% off. Mineral water. Let's talk about possibly doing interview offline. Maybe search Ron Foster. Been interviewed many times over the last 20 years. So I'll tell you what, mineral water. Shoot me an email and send me that information so I can look it up either tonight or tomorrow. My email is, you can just email info@thesurvivalsummit.com or just go to the website and send an email through the contact form, because I don't have anything to write with and I will 100% forget. So you guys are always better off emailing me. Like if you hear something on stream and you have a question or you want to talk about something else, shoot me an email and then it'll be much easier for me to remember. Okay. Well, my moderator is packing it in. He is done for the night. I think I might jump off. I keep saying that. I think I've been on a little shy under 3 hours. Oh, no, it says 2 hours and 41 minutes, so it's not that close. I think I got on at 10 of 7. Yeah, so in about 18 minutes, it'll have been 3 hours. Some people say I talk too much. Clearly, if I can talk to you guys for almost 3 hours, then I guess maybe I do talk too much. Don't mean to push me, but I am well known, love to help other authors and preppers. Yeah, hey, believe me, I'm super interested in talking to, other people when it comes to this kind of stuff. Absolutely. Definitely shoot me an email. info@thesurvivalsummit.com. I push people who own companies that are direct competition to Survival Summit. But if they're good people and they have good stuff, and I'm going to push them anyway because I don't care. And if they sell something the same as I do and it's cheaper, I'll tell you to go buy it from them. It's not a big deal. Again, I work full time. I have a regular job in construction management where I make a really good salary. I don't have to, rely on strictly Survival Summit, to do the things I want to do. So it's all gravy on top. It's been very slow, though. We don't really make very much money lately. Somehow the industry has been pretty slow in survival for a lot of different companies. I'm not 100% sure why. Mineral Water says, I coined the genre Southern Prepper Fiction. Yeah, definitely shoot me an email. I'm always interested in talking to other people in the industry. And at some point, I'm going to have guests on here like E.J. Snyder. Him and I are pretty close, so I'm going to have him on here. I just have to figure out how I do like a co-host on Streamlabs OBS. This is a brand new platform, so I have to kind of figure it all from scratch. Over the last 14 or 15 days doing TikTok lives, I had a pretty good handle on how to do some of that stuff, but now I got to start all over again. And I got to do it all from scratch on OBS. Mineral Water with another $10. Crazy. $30 so far. He's the very first guy basically to donate to this channel, and that's awesome. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to send me an email. Please don't forget to send me an email with your info and any other info, about yourself or about anything you want to talk about. Put that in the email as well. I'm pretty good about answering all emails and, talking to people about all kinds of stuff. Doesn't have to just be on stream. We can go over stuff. The other gentleman who was in here earlier said he's written over 70 different books. I'm definitely hoping he emails as well. Can't hurt to collaborate with a bunch of different people. Can only be good for everybody. If it's good for the community, then it's going to be good for me. It's going to be good for all of us. That's the way I look at it anyway. All right. Let's see. All right. I really am going to jump off now. I've been on here 2 hours and 45 minutes. And I believe my wife is coming home from work in about 20 minutes. And I've only been here at home since Friday night, and I have to go back to Vermont for about 14 days, so I really need to spend some time with her tonight because she's working again tomorrow. Then again, she may come home and want to go right to bed. So I don't know. But I really appreciate you guys being here, and I hope you're here tomorrow. I should be on at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mineral Water, yeah, long talk. I will sky off. All the best. Hey, have a good night. Don't forget to email. And hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. If for some reason I don't get to Vermont until a little bit later, I'd say 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is probably the latest, but I still think I can do 7 p.m. So it'll be either 7 or 8, depending on, But then once I'm there, I can definitely do at least 7 p.m. every night for the next 14 days because I'll be leaving the job site at about 5:15 to 5:30, and I'll definitely be back to the rental, by like 6:30 every day. And I'll be working 7 days a week, so I will be on every day for at least the next 2 weeks. Mineral Water says, I want my readers to follow you. That'd be awesome. I'd love to have your readers come on. And again, I'm going to try to get other guests to come on here as well. And I talked to Angry American. If you guys don't know Angry American, he wrote the book Going Home and the whole EMP series books. And I talked to him a few days ago, and he was going to come on the TikTok live stream. But now I'm going to text him tomorrow and say, hey, man, I'm simulcasting on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and I'm going to add Instagram as well. So if he wants to come on and hit a bigger audience on all the platforms, then he should. And he's a pretty popular guy in the industry. And if I can get him to also, because he's pretty close friends with Alan Kay, the guy who won the very first season of Alone. So he's very close with him. I might be able to get Alan Kay on. I've been trying to get Graybeard Green Beret on, but I haven't heard back from him. I'm not sure where he is. I know EJ Snyder will definitely come on for sure. And I can get some other guys in the industry to come on as well. I'm not going to promise guests all the time. A lot of these guys are super busy. But even if we don't have guests, even if we don't have gear to go over, we're still going to get on and we're still going to talk preparedness. I always want to hear from you guys. I always want to go through Q&A. I'm never going to pretend to have answers if I don't have answers. But if I don't, I usually know the people who do have the right answers. And we can collaborate on here, and hopefully we all start kind of getting to know each other, and we can create our own community in different areas. All right, I'm going to end the stream here. Thank you again, Mineral Water, for your donations. That is awesome. And I will see the rest of you hopefully tomorrow. And tell all your friends, let everybody know to come check out the stream. And we can all contribute to the stream to make it better. You can always email me suggestions about things you want to talk about, things you want to look at, things you want to go over. I'm always going to be here. So I will